We about to get the show started, man. Hey, YSL trial starting again today.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Agent, Ms. Winfrey. Your Honor, Mr. Body told me that a little while ago, and yes, I believe that would moot that specific motion.
Okay, thank you.
Although I was interested in seeing everything that
I'm sure. Okay. And then we'll still expect response on the other two by whatever that deadline is that I gave y'all that I can't remember anymore. Friday. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, as soon as we have the final juror, we'll get started. All right. We've got the final juror. So let's go ahead and bring them out.
Let's get it. Salute to everybody in the building. Do me a double favor and double tap that like button as soon as you come into the live stream. This is the YSL trial live reaction. I will be here the entirety of the day, y'all. We're gonna break it down. We already got a little sneak peek last week if you was on the live stream of what audios they're gonna be playing on wiretaps. It's about to hit different today. So if you just coming in, we got the jury in this week and we about to get the show started. Hit that like button. Let's get it. For all my folk that work every day, man. This is Indigenous Day, also known as Columbus Day, man. So happy holidays to y'all. Let's get it. All my grinders that grind hard, and every time they do it, they put their heart in it. You got to know when I come on this live stream, I put my heart in it, man. Let's go.
All right. Thank you. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all enjoyed your time off and are ready to
so hard.
Get back to business.
Every time put my heart in it. Sun up to sundown. Get it started till it's all finished. Break a knee every day. I gotta stay prayed up. I don't even much see the hate. I only need love. Work so hard. Every time put my heart in it. Sun up to sundown. Get it started till it's all finished. Break a knee every day. I gotta stay prayed up. I don't even much see the hate. What you doing for? I only need love. I took chances, took gambles, always kept balance. Didn't always have patience, but I always had talent. Turn my L's into lessons, reflect my decisions. Sometimes I look back, I don't know how I did it. Had the boss up, baby, bro, who gon' fix it? Pressure start building, created the feeling. Ain't on my heart from all of the kids. You walk out, they lie, who gon' take care of them kids? Pain in my heart, all this struggle, it real. The hurt run so deep, I can't cry no more tears. Trying so hard, starting to heal. Cussing these bruises, I play in the field. My face called A1, so I get in the deal. Thotty too hotty, ain't getting no spill. Don't hop in this wood, you ain't riding for real. Get it hot in the kitchen, I'm cooking the meal. This level's position when you stacking these riches. Go back to the stove, don't trick off on hold. Credit is face, I'ma credit some more. I'ma run up a ticket, sell out the show. Swipe for some side with a digital code. Blowing my phone up, they wanting some more. I ain't letting them go, and the prices ain't switching. Play the game high, go my hustle relentless. Grind, work so hard. Every time put my heart in it. Sun up to sundown. Get it started till it's all finished. Break a knee every day. I gotta stay prayed up. I don't even much see the hate. I only need love. Work so hard. Every time put my heart in it. Sun up to sundown. Get it started till it's all finished. Break a knee every day. I gotta stay prayed up. I don't even must see the hate. I only need love. Where it all started at. Came out them apartments. We ain't even had the car. Had to walk the laundromat. Same place you washing at in the same place you drying at. Heat your water up at your neighbor house. What you know about that? Struggle, yeah, I come from that. I ain't never going back. I came with no monkey suit. Stuck up in the habitat. I got goals I must pursue. I got the money to move. Now I got shit to do. Stuck in the same position, think it's usual. You in the same spot, same plot. Talking about some shit that you ain't got. That's what them haters do. Drew the last string, had to cut the knot. Now I'm hater proof. I can't care about what you're going through. You a leech, I ain't got nothing to give you. Money can't save you. Look what money made you. If you ain't getting money, you ain't sitting at the table. Grind, work so hard. Every time put my heart in it.
You about to get it.
The sun down.
You gotta know it.
Till it's all finished. Break a knee every day. I gotta stay
All right. Let's get it started. Hey, but look, I don't even much see that hate.
I only need
love. Let's get it, y'all. All right.
Put my heart in it.
Let's get this started, man. Real quick before I get it started. Jordan, no, I did not hear the news. Which news? Wanda Smith news? DJ Craig out there in New Jersey news? Tia, Rick Ross baby mama news? You gotta let me know in the comments. But we about to get the show started. Breaking news. We got the jury in, and we about to take off right where we left off, y'all. And I'm going on mute.
We've got Special Agent Bernie was with us when we broke. And so Special Agent Bernie, I'll just remind you that you're still under oath. And Mr. Atkins, you can go ahead and pick up with your questioning.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Agent Bernie.
Good morning.
Now, in addition to toll analysis, were you ever requested to perform any cell site tower analysis related to this case?
I was.
Were you, how did that come about?
I was asked by your office to review several phones, and they're called detail records, or they're records with tower information, as it related to several incidents.
It was one of those incidents the January 10th, 2015 murder of Donovan Thomas?
It was.
And after conducting your analysis, did you ever generate a report?
I did.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
I am handing the witness what has been marked as 532 Yankee. Agent Bernie, what is 532 Yankee?
This is a copy of my report.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the report you created for the January 10th, 2015 incident?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state tenders into evidence 532 Yankee.
All right, that's admitted.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I don't mind it being admitted to help the agent testify, but I will have a continuing witness objection. It was made for purposes of this trial.
All right. Understood. Is this just for demonstrative purposes?
Your Honor, could we address that at a later time?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Agent Bernie, taking a step back, how in general do cell phones work in relation to towers?
Yeah, so when a phone's on, it's scanning the environment, looking for the strongest, clear signal, the best signal for the phone to use. And then when you're ready to place a call, the phone chooses the tower with the best signal. So when I leave here today and call my wife, tell her I'm on my way home, hit the green button to place the call. The phone uses the tower with the best signal. Normally the closest tower, but not always, depending upon a couple factors. But normally the closest tower. My phone call then will go for however long it is. And then when that call is ended, that call then shows up in my call detail records, the records for my phone, right? It'll show the date and time of that phone call. I called my wife, we talked for 60 seconds, and that the phone chose this tower in this sector as the best signal to initiate the call. And then, as I continue to use the phone, more records are populated showing the towers and sectors used for those calls.
Your Honor, The state is going to be publishing page 3 of 532 Yankee.
All right.
Salute to everybody that's coming into the building. This trial should not continue past New Year's. Let's see how together
Now,
they got themselves.
Agent Birdie, can you describe how cell tower sectors work in relation to cell phone calls?
Yeah, so this slide here, page here, shows the most common types of cell phone towers. So the ones on the left-hand side, the monopole, the latticework, structural, the guy wire tower, those are the most common ones we see as we drive down the interstates or drive through downtown Atlanta. One thing to note on the structural towers, those white vertical substances there are the antennas themselves. So they can put antennas on the sides of buildings or water towers to make those towers or sectors as well. One thing to note is everything on the right-hand side is also a cell phone tower. You know, obviously we don't have a fake cactus here in Atlanta. This is from a park in Phoenix, Arizona. But it just shows that not all cell phone towers are created.
Look like cell phone towers. I done seen some that look like trees, y'all. They got a one that look like a cactus, but I'm gonna go on mute. Pete, y'all pay attention.
Like the latticework or monopole tower.
And Agent Bernie, in terms of analyzing call detail records, is there any significance to these different towers that you just went through for the jury?
Yeah, so depending upon the type of the tower and the tower density, meaning where lots of towers are, depends on kind of the range of the tower, right? The where more people live and more people work, there's going to be more towers. As we get into the rural parts of our state, there's going to be less towers. So, you know, a small tower like this fake cactus here, obviously is going to service a small area versus a really tall monopole or latticework tower that could be 150, 200 feet tall is going to have a much larger area for coverage.
Agent Bernie, how are cell towers put in and how are those locations chosen?
Yeah, so it really depends on, again, where people live and where people work. They want to be able to provide coverage to all the areas. So that way, when we want to use our phone, we can. You know, obviously, if we have AT&T and we don't have service in a certain area, we probably
They sure do.
very long, right? We'll switch to another provider. So if you think about the way they put cell phone towers in, it's kind of like a sprinkler system for a yard, right? We want everywhere in our yard to get water. We don't want one sprinkler head to shoot, you know, this far, another one to shoot this far, and there'll be a gap between those two sprinkler heads, you know, where it gets no water. Because in Georgia, obviously, the grass would die if it got too hot. What they want to do is you want to overlap one sprinkler head into the other sprinkler head's coverage area so that there's overlap. But we don't want to overlap too much and flood our whole yard with water. We want enough overlap so everywhere gets water. There's no dead space. That's exactly how cell phone towers are put in. One tower overlaps another tower.
I like the way he broke that down. How many of y'all like the way he broke that down?
That way
With that knowledge.
we can travel
The sprinkler system versus cell towers and how they work
to where there's no
to get the most coverage.
And Agent Bernie, what is the range of cell towers?
Yeah, so again, the range is a common question, but it really depends on the density of towers, right? So what we're going to see is where towers are closer together, the range is going to be smaller than where towers are farther and farther apart. There's more area.
Agent Bernie, are cell towers supposed to provide coverage to specific areas?
I mean, they are. So again, certain towers, if there's a brand new apartment building or a hotel, they may put a new tower in to cover that area, or they may change the orientation of the sides of a tower in order to provide coverage.
Publishing page 4 Agent Bernie, can you describe for the jury what cell tower sectors are?
Yeah, so again, when a provider wants to provide coverage in an area, they put in a cell phone tower, right? A single tower, and that provides coverage in a 360 degrees. Well, in order to get more customers to use that tower, they take that one tower, which covers a full circle, 360 degrees, and they divide that into 3 equal parts. That makes each side or sector approximately 120 degrees. And that allows basically 3 times the amount of users that a single pole, if it was just one antenna, would be able to do. So what we see here is on the left-hand side, the triangle shape in the middle, that's the cell phone tower. This would be us sitting above the cell phone tower looking down. So in this illustration, again, we see sector number 1 or side number 1. The middle of it points towards 0 degrees. And again, since we know each side or sector is approximately 120 degrees, again, 360 divided by 3 gives us that 120. We know if the middle is at 0 degrees, that sector services 60 degrees to the left and 60 degrees to the right of 0. So that gives us the general left and right boundaries of a cell phone sector. One thing to also note is that each tower and sector is uniquely numbered, meaning if we're looking for T-Mobile tower 1, 2, 3, in T-Mobile's tower list, there's only one tower labeled 1, 2, 3 in their entire network. And then it tells us the orientation or the direction in which each side or sector points. So it's like a fingerprint in the network. It allows us to know exactly the tower and the side of the tower that was used by each phone.
And Agent Bernie, for all of the cell phone providers that you analyzed for this case, do they all indicate which sector a tower was used for a specific call?
So it depends upon the records. Most of them do. Some Sprint devices, based on how they recorded information. So each cell phone provider keeps their records slightly different. And when they change from 3G to 4G to 5G, they oftentimes change the way they keep their records. So there are some records for Sprint that would only show a tower information. It won't show the size. But we'll talk more about that when it shows up in the analysis.
Publishing page 5. So Agent Bernie, how can you describe for the jury, using this illustration, the orientation of sectors?
Yeah, so again, in this instance, if we look on the left-hand side, this is how we're going to take the information from the call detail records and the tower list and put it on a map so that we can see a general area where a device was when it had an activity. So again, on the left-hand side, the triangle shape is the tower. This is us above the tower looking straight down. And we see, in this case, again, it used side number 1 or sector number 1. And what we've done now is we put a red line on the left-hand side of the boundary and a red line at the right-hand side of the approximate boundary of the sector. And then we've kind of shaded the area in the middle to say, hey, we're looking between these 2 lines there. That shaded area, that doesn't mean that's what the coverage of the tower is, nor does it say, hey, the phone is located inside that shaded area. Again, it's just showing that's the side or sector of the tower. On the right-hand side is what you'll see how it's going to be shown on a map. Again, we have the red line on the left, the red line on the right to show the approximate left and right boundaries. You see where the points of the V kind of meet at the middle. It's hard to see, but there's a green dot. That's the cell phone tower right there.
And Agent Bernie, do cell phone provider companies ever share towers with one another?
So they can share towers, but they never share antennas. So think of phones as children, right? We teach children don't talk to strangers. Well, that's exactly what happens in cell phone networks, right? T-Mobile only talks to T-Mobile phones. Verizon only talks to Verizon phones. So again, a phone company could share a tower. There could be one tower in a spot that everyone really likes, and there could be T-Mobile antennas at the top. Next tier could be Verizon, and the next tier down could be AT&T.
There's a slight lag on this Zoom, Agent Bernie, but can you describe with the towers we discussed, how would towers in, say, downtown Atlanta with this sector and orientation compare to towers in a more rural part of Georgia?
Yeah, again, where more people live and more people work, there's going to be more towers. So those towers, again, more towers kind of limits the range of each of those towers. Because again, we don't want to overpower towers by other towers. With that being said, not all cell phone towers are created equal. We saw in the picture, there's really tall lattice work towers, right? And then there's smaller fake cactuses, right? Where they can put antennas. They do here in Atlanta. They put antennas on the sides of street corners. And that just covers like a certain block. Maybe there's a popular place for people to hang out or businesses or whatever. So that can cover a small area. So on some of the maps, you're going to see a lot of dots closer together. They're all cell phone towers, but it doesn't mean that all of those cell phone towers are 150, feet off the ground. Some of them could be smaller towers or antennas in certain areas.
Agent Bernie, how is it determined what tower a cell phone will use to make or receive a call?
Yeah, so again, when the phone's on the network, not being used, it's scanning the environment, looking for the best signal. And the phone then chooses that tower with the best signal to start the phone call.
Will the strongest signal always be the closest tower?
Not necessarily. Again, cell phone and RF energy is based a lot on what's called line of sight. So as long as the tower can see the phone and vice versa, the phone can see the tower, it's going to be good. Now, some towers are taller and their line of sight is farther than the ones that are closer to the ground. So again, the phone is going to choose the tower with the best signal. Normally one of the closest towers, especially in a urban area like downtown Atlanta, may not be the closest tower.
And Agent Bernie, say you're traveling down the highway, how is it that your phone will decide or choose to change towers at some point?
Yeah, so again, the phones are always scanning the environment, looking for the best signal. And if you're in one spot here, your best signal could be this tower on the left-hand side. But as you move down the block, you're going to get closer to the tower on the right-hand side. The signal strength and other factors would determine that the phone would choose the tower as you get closer to it on the right-hand side. Now, when you're in a call, so say I place a call on my way out of here to talk to my wife, and as I'm driving, we stay on the phone for an hour. We have lots of things to talk about, I guess. But the phone is going to choose the initial tower and sector for the call here. That's going to go in the call detail records as the first tower used, because that's where the phone call was initiated at. But as I drive an hour towards my house in Auburn, Alabama, the phone's going to jump different towers based on the signal strength. And those choices are made by the network, meaning my phone says, hey, I'm leaving the tower that's close to the courthouse. Now I'm getting closer to the other tower. And the network says, okay, switch to that tower. That will also potentially, based on the provider, show up in the call detail records. Not all providers keep every single tower that your phone uses from here to Alabama. Some just keep the very first tower.
Agent Bernie, going back to coverage area, how are you able to estimate, generally speaking, the coverage area of a tower?
Yeah, so again, it's based on the other towers and sectors that are in the area. So obviously, in an area where there's not as many towers and sectors, we can see a general area. In downtown Atlanta, where there's lots of towers, again, not all towers are created equal. Some are really tall, some are really short. So that kind of general area gets a little bit harder to determine, an exact area based on that.
Is there a way to determine the actual coverage of a tower in present day?
There is.
Can you describe that for the jury?
Yeah, so we have some equipment that we use that was recommended by the phone companies, the same kind of equipment that they use to, find dead spots and other things. So we put this equipment on a vehicle, and then we drive around the area that we're trying to map the coverage area of the tower. It's called a drive test, and that equipment works kind of like a cell phone. It's saying, hey, at this spot where I'm sitting right now, tower number 1 is the strongest, clearest. And then when we go a little bit further, it says, hey, I can no longer have usable coverage from tower number 1. We kind of reached the edge of its limit. So as you drive around, the system is collecting lots of data and actually mapping out what the footprint of a certain tower and sector is on the day that you map it.
And Agent Bernie, is there a time limit for when you are able to conduct a drive test in relation to a specific case?
Yeah, we obviously want to drive test the tower as soon as we can, close to the time of the incident. Because again, things change. We're obviously going through a transition from 4G to 5G, and new antennas could be placed, or antenna sectors could be changed or changed directions of which they are. So we tend to say, a year or so, maybe as much as 18 months, depending upon whether there was a big technology change in that city that we're mapping out.
Agent Bernie, you had touched base some last week on cell phone records and the data they contain. Do you recall that?
I do.
Can you describe for the jury what is a routed call?
Yeah, so a routed call is specific to Sprint network, and a routed call would be a call that comes into your device and then gets routed to voicemail. So let's say there's a couple different ways it can happen. Let's say that your device is on and you just don't hear it ring. Right? Ring, 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 and then eventually it goes to voicemail. So what we can see in the records is it would show, hey, someone called Jay's phone. Jay's phone never answered. And then Jay's phone routed that person to voicemail. So then it showed up in the records as a routed call.
Are you able to map routed calls?
Each provider is a little bit different, but in the Sprint network, routed calls, we do not map their tower and sector activity because we don't know for sure that the device used that tower and that sector at that specific time.
Is there any cell phone providers that use the terminology abnormal calls?
Abnormal completion.
What does that mean?
So that is a term in T-Mobile's network that just means that that call got routed in a different way than a normal call would get routed. So an abnormal completion might be, instead of me using tower 1 and then it going to point number 2 and then to my destination, now I use tower number 1, but instead of point number 2, it routes a call to point number 3 and then a different destination. So depending upon whether those calls are incoming or outgoing, as to whether the tower and sector information is valid in those.
Now, Agent Bernie, turning back to this case, what were you requested specifically to do in relation to January 10th, 2015 murder of Donovan Thomas?
Yeah, so I was asked to take a look at several phones. We'll show them here in the analysis in a minute. But several phones and their activity roughly around the time of the shooting. So sometimes those are starting in the early mornings, sometimes they're starting in the late afternoons. Basically, to analyze the cell phones activities, the towers and sectors used, and kind of show them on.
Before receiving that request from Fulton County District Attorney's Office, did you have any information about this case?
No.
Do you personally know any information about the phone records or associated individuals with those records that you plotted?
I do not, no.
I'm going to publish slide 7. Or I'll take one step back, Agent Bernie, on slide 6. So Can you explain for the jury, using this illustration, when you generate this report, what do all, how are the slides and the calls shown on your report?
Yeah, so for each cell phone tower that's shown on the map, there's going to be one of these boxes. We refer to them as a call out box, basically. And it's information directly from the call detail records and the tower list provided by the provider. So again, the call detail records kind of like that phone bill with the tower and sector information. And then the tower list is the information provided by the provider, where the towers are located and how each sector is located. So what we see on here is at the top, it says CID. That stands for cell ID. That's that unique tower number, not replicated anywhere else. So in this case, we're looking at a Verizon tower, 392. So again, that specific tower number, and then -3 shows the side of the sector, sector number 3. Underneath that is the date. We see that as January 10th, 2015. And then underneath that is going to be the phone number for the activity on this tower. So in this case, it's going to be the phone number ending in 6080. And then you have the time that's going to be in local time. So all of it is going to be in Eastern time, local time for the event. It'll say the type of activity, was it an incoming or outgoing call? You see that there. The next number there where it says 270, that shows the side of the tower used and the compass heading of the middle of that side. Meaning, we know that it used sector number 3. We see that at the top in the CID box. Well, we can tell based on the tower list that sector number 3, the middle of it points towards 270 degrees. That's where that 270 is. So then we know that if the middle's at 270, we go 60 degrees to the left to about 190. Correction, 210, and 60 degrees to the right. That gets us to about 330. That gives us that general left and right limits of that sector. The other phone number involved in the phone call will be listed there. In this case, it was a number ending in 2643. And then if there was an associated name given to me by law enforcement as to who was using the 2743, the other number associated, that name will be put in there. So in this case, it's Elvin Trejo. So again, what we can see from the call out box is we can say, hey, the phone number ending in 6080, the number we're looking at, had an incoming call on January 10th at 7:38 p.m. It used tower 392, sector 3. That sector points towards 270 degrees. We see it there, and it came from the tower list. And that incoming call was from a phone number ending in 2643 associated with Elvin Triplett. So all the data that we would need to map all the activity is listed in that call out.
Publishing page 7. So Agent Bernie, can you describe for the jury what were the numbers that you analyzed in relation to cell tower location?
Yeah, so again, this is a list of all the cell phone numbers and associated users that were provided to me by law enforcement for each of the devices. And then you can see the provider for each of those devices listed there as well.
Agent Bernie, I want to ask you before we continue to, can you describe for the jury what records the FBI CAS team was utilizing in 2015 to analyze historical cell sites?
Yeah, so in 2015, we were using mostly call detail records. Again, the CDRs, which is your old school phone bill. And again, that has the tower and the sector for each phone activity. So we can see where the tower was and which side of the tower that was used. There's also additional records that we use nowadays in 2024 to map phone activity. Those records are called timing advance records. those records, you can provide the tower, the sector or side of the tower, and the distance the phone is from the tower. In 2015, there was really only one provider that was providing that information to law enforcement, and that was Verizon. In some instances, Sprint was in 2015 again. The problem with the timing advance records are those records are kept by a very short time by the phone provider. So you can get a call detail record, again, the towers and sectors, for a phone going back a year. 365 days is the shortest time period. But for your timing advance records, the shortest time period is 7 days. So Verizon only keeps timing advance records because there's just so much of it for 7 days before it purges it from its network. So in 2015, those were the types of records that were available.
When did the FBI CAS team start utilizing time in advance?
So I came into CAST in 2015. I got certified in 2016, and we were using timing advance in 2016. But again, it's kept for such a very short time period that a lot of law enforcement don't have time by the time they identify a phone number to get those records before the records are purged by the system.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to turn to page 9 of this report. And if you can, there is a old school pointer, wooden pointer behind you, if that will aid you. So, Agent Bernie, was one of the cell phones you were requested to analyze a phone number ending in 5991 associated with a Kenneth Copeland?
It was.
What was the time range that you were requested to analyze for that device associated with Kenneth Copeland?
As you can see, it's listed underneath here. So January 10th, roughly 6:30 a.m. in the morning, up until the next day, January 11th, a couple minutes past midnight.
Agent Bernie, looking at this slide, when it comes up on the screen, can you describe for the jury what these icons are that are red, yellow, and green?
Yes, Your Honor, may I stand? and
Yes, you
point?
may.
So for each of these map slides, they're going to be oriented the same. So at the top of the slide, we'll see the phone activity. So again, this one lists January 10th, 2015, and it lists the time period. So this is between 6:37 and 7:26 p.m. So 6:37 a.m. to 7:26 p.m. That's what's shown on this slide here. Each slide will have a slightly different time period. The phone number for the activity listed is going to be in that top left-hand corner there. So again, this is a phone number ending in 5991 associated with Mr. Copeland there. The different locations of interest that I was given will also show up on the slide. So here we have the crime scene for this homicide location. Again, listed as 330 McDaniel Street, Southwest. You see that as a red box with the letter CS that's located there. We have a residence. It's going to be listed as a yellow box with the letters QR listed here. And then a green store with an address of 322 Glen Street, Southwest. We see that as a green box with the letter number 1 listed in there. One thing you also see on this slide is a lot of black dots. Those dots are cell phone towers operated by the network in this case. So in this case, this is a Sprint phone. So each of these black dots are Sprint cell phone towers as they existed in their network on January of 2015.
And Agent Bernie, on this specific slide, what is the time frame for the calls you plotted in relation to the device of Mr. Copeland's?
So again, we'll see that at the top, 6:37 a.m. on the 10th to 7:26 p.m. also on the 10th.
Now, Agent Bernie, can you show the jury where and at what time the first call is that's depicted on this slide?
So the first call here is at 6:37 p.m. It's an outgoing call. And you can see it's pointing towards this tower here. Again, we can tell which side or sector of the tower that was used, because this tower has a sector on the north
Yeah,
side.
it might be boring to some, but they showing you.
We can tell which
They rarely
sector is used
pull out the
by
diagrams and
this
show you
in here.
how they do what they do.
Heading,
Pay attention.
number of degrees of the sector. So at 6:37 and 21 seconds a.m., which is the first call, it shows there was an outgoing call that used sector oriented toward 330. So again, the north side, 330 degrees up here. The next call, 6:38 and 47 seconds, an outgoing call. Now the phone is using this side of sector here, because we see it went from 330 to 220, which is this side or sector down.
And Agent Bernie, after that 6:38 a.m. call, when is the next call?
So the next call is in this call out box here at the bottom left. It's 1:31 and 41 seconds. We see the tower and sector used here. Again, that would put the device in this general area.
And after that 1:31 call, what is the first call and time after that?
So again, same tower, same sector. There's one at 6:20 p.m. down here. Again, using same tower, same sector, puts that device there. There's several 6:20 through about 7:01, all using this same tower, same sector.
And from that specific tower and sector from 1:31 p.m. to 7:01 p.m., how would you describe that device in relation to 178 Maury Avenue, the yellow QR on the screen?
So again, one thing you'll notice here, right, is there's a tower here, there's a tower here, there's a tower here. We see the sectors are also populated. One thing to remember, again, think of that sprinkler head analogy, right? These are 3 sprinkler heads. There's going to be overlap area probably somewhere in the middle along it. So again, this tower and sector, again, would probably be in this general area, but it could be in an overlap area around here as well.
And Agent Bernie, after that 7:01 p.m. call, what is the next call and tower location?
So the next one here is at 7:24. We can see the tower and sector here. And then right after that is a 7:25. 09 uses this side over here. And then there's a call at 7:24 7:26 and 45 seconds that's now using this side up here.
With that 7:24:09 call, where is that call in relation to 178 Maury Avenue?
Again, in the general vicinity.
And does this slide have a scale on this map?
It does. There should be a scale. It looks like should be a little bit further down. There's a scale right underneath here.
And using that scale, how far approximately is 178 Maury Avenue to 330 McDaniel Street, the red crime scene icon?
So straight line distance between this and here is approximately 5 kilometers or about 3 miles. Again, straight line distance, a little bit over 3 miles.
Is there any data with the phone associated with Kenneth Copeland that places him in 330 McDaniel Street at 7:22 p.m.?
No. Again, we have 7:01 down in here, and then 7:24 in this general area here. 7:25 now this tower. 7:26 now this tower and sector here. So again, if the question was at 7:22, I would say the device was somewhere in this general area down here.
And if there's not a call received or made, are you able to plot the tower location for any phone?
Yeah. So again, for the call detail records in 2015, we're relying solely on activities placed, which are calls and some text messages depending upon the network.
And is there or what is the amount of time between the 7:01:58 p.m. incoming call and the 7:24:09 p.m. call?
Yeah, so those are about 23 minutes. Again, the 7:01 call uses this tower here, the 7:24 uses this tower here. Again, approximately 23 minutes between those two calls.
And Agent Bernie, I wanted to ask you a question about some of the numbers that are being called on this slide. Do you see any calls to a 4090?
I do.
Can you, do you see any calls to a 7604?
Yes, there are. There's several right here, 7604, 7604, and then there's some over on this side as well.
How many of the calls are between the device associated with Mr. Copeland and the 4090 and 7604 on this slide?
Total combined?
Combined. Yes, sir.
Uh, 11.
And in total, how many total calls are there on this slide? If you were ever asked or requested to try to, or have you ever been asked or requested or conducted who a phone number calls in terms of who physically possesses said device?
I mean, I've been asked to put together basically a calling, analysis. So, hey, who's the most called number by this device? And then we look up that device and it's, this individual. And therefore, hey, if that's the most common called by the phone number in question, then, maybe it's someone important to that phone. So yes, we've done some basic toll analysis.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 11. Is this a continuation of the cell tower that we just saw for Mr. Copeland?
Yes, it is.
And on the previous slide, what was the last call time?
On the previous slide, 7:26 and 45 seconds was the last one. And then the next one on this one is 7:28.
Can you describe for the jury where that tower and sector is for this 7:28 phone call?
Yeah, we see it here. Again, it points towards this tower and this sector here. So again, the tower is located right along this I-20 on the south side. It provides coverage in this general area over here.
And where is the device associated with Mr. Copeland for that 7:28 call in relation to the green store at 322 Glen Street Southwest?
So again, you see the green store is going to be this green box right here. So that tower and sector is actually the closest tower and sector to the green store there. And it would most likely provide coverage to the green store at that point in time.
With that, with the slide we just discussed with the cell phone activity near Deshaun Quarterman's house, what is the travel from slide 10 to this current slide at the 7:28 call?
So again, the previous call was at 7:26, and that was using this tower here, but again, this side over here. So again, at 7:26, the device is somewhere in this general area, and then we can see it's 7:28. So approximately 2 minutes later, the device is in this general area.
And what is the last four of the phone call for that 7:28 call? And is it I'll ask you that first.
Yep. So it's 0102. We see that number listed there.
And is it an incoming or outcoming call?
It's an incoming call to the Copeland device.
Now, after that incoming call from 0102, where is the next call with the device associated with Mr. Copeland?
So we can see the next call is at 7:43, 29 seconds. We can see the tower here that's used, and again, that sector would provide coverage in this general area here. So now we're looking at the south side of Atlanta.
And after that tower, CID 3152, where does it travel, or what is the next tower the phone utilizes?
Yeah, so then the device travels to this one down here, 7:49. You can see the tower and sector used here. And then there's, I think it's cut off on the Zoom part down here, but there's another tower and sector used at 7:51. That's south of that. So again, basically at 7:28, the device is in this general area, and then it starts to move southbound, ending up down here at 7:51.
And Agent Bernie, for that last tower you were discussing, could you, if you don't mind, use the screen behind you? Just because I do think it's a little bit cut off.
Yeah, so 7:51 is this tower in this sector here. So again, this is the 7:49:04 is this same one that's listed right here. And now we can see just underneath that is this one at 7:51. So again, on the big screen, it would just be located, down here a little bit further.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish page 42. Agent Bernie, can you describe for the jury, you see this says 678-278-5991 has one event?
It does, right here. You see this tower right here.
And is that the same call we were just discussing?
It was. You can see it as 7:51:36.
And what is that orange M icon on this slide?
So that orange icon there is a location of a McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue Southwest, Atlanta.
So when that 751 call was made, where was the device associated with Kenneth Copeland in relation to the McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue?
So again, it's in this general area here. It's within the tower and sector that would provide coverage to the McDonald's.
Going back, Agent Bernie, to the slide we were just discussing, and while I'm pulling that up, how do the icons get populated on your report?
Yeah, so locations are provided to me, either a street address or a latitude, longitude. Those go into our mapping software, and then we put them on the map. And we can basically show which icons on the maps we want to show and which ones we do not, based on the time. So that way, if we, in this case, obviously I was last asked to look at this incident, but several others. So there were dozens of icons. So if I kept them all on the map, it would get kind of confusing as to what's relevant and what's not. So we're able to toggle off ones that are not relevant during this time period.
So to be clear, Agent Bernie, that on this slide, page 11, that 751 call, although there's not an orange M icon, that is the call that's in the general area of the McDonald's?
Correct. Yeah, the McDonald's icon, if it was on there, would show up right here, basically near the intersection of these two roads right there.
So, Agent Bernie, what is the last four of the call that the device associated with Mr. Copeland makes at that 7:51 p.m. call?
The last four are 0102.
Now, I'm going to publish slide 12. What is the time frame for slide 12?
We can see it at the top, 8:22 p.m. to 10:41.
And Agent Bernie, when is the first call depicted on this slide after the 7:51 p.m. we just saw?
So we can see this as 8:22 p.m. We see the tower and the sector right here. So again, here's I-20, and this is 75, 85. So again, this general area.
Agent Bernie, how much time, what is the amount of time between 7:51 call and this 8:22 p.m. call?
Approximately 30 minutes.
And does this map before us have a scale?
It does.
Roughly how far is the McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue Southwest to the teal icon of 1080 West Peachtree indicated as Williams Condo?
Just give me 1 second. So straight line distance is about 8 or 9 kilometers from the M here to this WC here, which again stands for the Williams Condo. So approximately 9 kilometers, which maybe 4 miles and some change.
And is there any major highway between 150 Cleveland Avenue and 1080 West Peachtree Street Northwest that's depicted on this slide?
There it is. You can see here is the 85 down here, 75, 85 kind of interstate.
Can you show the jury the tower and sector for this 8:22 p.m. call from the device associated with Mr. Copeland?
Again, it's using this device here. Using this
Yeah, this might.
And Agent Bernie, with the gap of time we just discussed, if the device was traveled from the McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue to 1080 West Peachtree Street, and then has that call at 8:22 p.m., how would you, what are your, how would you, is that possible?
Are you asking is it possible from the 751 to get from the McDonald's to here and then here at 8:22?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I would say it's probably possible. I think 751, again, there's 30 minutes. This is approximately, what did I say, 4, almost 5 miles there. So yeah, I think in that time period, you could potentially get from here to there to back into this general area here.
And how far approximately is that tower location at the 8:22 p.m. call to 1080 West Peachtree Street?
Maybe 4 kilometers, so under 2 miles, probably from here to, this general area here, under 2 miles. Again, estimate.
And,
I got a very difficult
Agent
time
Bernie,
telling the truth to investigators.
Do you see on this slide the numbers we had discussed earlier, 4090, that end in 4090 and or 7604?
I do.
And how many times do those two numbers appear in the device associated with Copeland's phone in this time frame depicted on the screen?
7.
And Agent Bernie, do you see, or I'll ask you this, the call we were just discussing, the 8:22 p.m. call, what is the last 4 and who is that call associated with?
So again, we see that call right here, the 822. It's an outgoing call from the Copeland device to this phone number here, 404-662-8935.
And Agent Bernie, there's a lot of numbers. The page 7 of this report, can you reference page 7 that has and I'm going to ask you if that 8935 appears on that page?
It does.
Who is the device ending in 8935 associated with?
Mr. Sledge?
And Agent Bernie, do you see any other calls after that 8:22 p.m. call between the device associated with Mr. Copeland and the device associated with Mr. Sledge?
I do.
Can you tell the jury where those calls are depicted in the time?
Yeah, so we see those as 8:39 p.m. here, and then using this tower and specifically this side or sector here. And then at 9:02, there's another call, and now it's using this tower and sector over.
And Agent Bernie, do you see any calls to 5726, a phone number ending in 5726?
I do.
And I'm going to ask you to utilize the phone numbers on page 7 to see if 5726 is a number associated with a person.
5726, yes it is.
Who is that associated with?
Mr. Zachary?
And Agent Bernie, of the towers on this slide, is there any that are in the general area of Deshaun Quarterman's residence?
Is that
the QR yellow
QR
icon?
is down here. So again, this tower and sector would provide coverage in this general area here, and we see calls using that at 9:23. And this tower and sector would provide coverage in this general area, probably not directly at the Quarterman residence, but in the general area here. Again, that's at 8:31.
Agent Bernie, what is the last call depicted on this slide? And can you show the jury where that tower and sector is located?
Yeah, so the last call is at 10:41, an incoming call here. You can see the tower and the sector. Again, puts the device now kind of north and west of Atlanta in this general area.
Agent Bernie, I am publishing slide 13. What is the time frame depicted on this slide?
So we can see at the top, this starts at January 10th at 11:06 p.m. and goes into the 11th at 12:07 a.m.
And Agent Bernie, can you walk the jury through, with the towers depicted, the movement or travel of the device associated with Mr. Copeland in this window of time?
Yes, so the first activity is at 11:06. We see the tower and sector here. Again, that would put that kind of in the downtown Atlanta area. The next call and sector we have, or tower sector we have, is up here near the Williams.
Salute. If you just coming in, let's get it a little reaction real quick. If you just coming in, do me a favor, double tap that screen. We are listening to the live stream of the YSL trial. Right now, it's kind of boring because the detective is breaking down his job. It may seem boring to us, but he's breaking it down quite fine, letting you know exactly how cell towers work. And if you can see, they got Copeland, which is Woody up there, y'all. They got his girlfriend house, and they got the scene. This whole case, I feel, just my belief, this whole case is built around the death of Donovan Thomas. So that's the crime scene that they talking about. All of this is about to kind of click together once they get the wiretaps that they're gonna be playing. Now, everything that we heard last week is not gonna get played today because some of it did not get granted, but a lot of it did get admitted. So we're gonna get to hear a lot of the stuff that we heard already. But if you just coming in, do me a favor, hit that like button by double tapping the screen. And this is interesting stuff because they got to make the jury is in the building, believe without a reasonable doubt that this is a RICO.
Around the city, That's fucked up what they did to Young Thug. Can't let them get me. All freestyling this shit. I say shit, I might as well just.
I got a very difficult time telling the truth to investigators if I feel they are after me.
Did you ever tell Investigator Gaither and Investigator Dennis about the beef between you and Kel,
Probably so.
What do you recall telling her about the beef between you and Kel?
Probably whatever I could to convince them to make them believe
Make them believe what?
me,
And so were you telling them the truth?
depending on who listening.
It was Gaither and Dennis.
I got a very difficult time telling the truth to investigators if I feel they are after me.
You tell them the truth about the beef that was happening between you and Kel.
I don't know what I don't told them. That's why I'm trying to be careful what I say right now.
Now, that being said, they got to break down without a reasonable doubt that Lil Woody was where he said he was. That's why they got him on these cell tower charts right now, y'all. So pay attention.
At 11:14 and 11:17.
Copeland is Woody, y'all. Copeland is Woody. That's what you see
Now it's moved again
on the screen.
southbound. 11:24 p.m. We see the tower and sector that's used here. And then the last tower and sector we have
Here you go.
is this tower here. It uses both the north side and the south side. Approximately 11:44 p.m. till the last call of 12:07, which you guys can see here. So again, in this general area here, 11:44 to 12:07 a.m.
And Agent Bernie, the tower at the top, CID 3102, is there two calls, the first being at 11:14 p.m.?
There is.
And where is given that tower location, where is that tower in relation to 1080 West Peachtree, labeled as Williams Condo on this slide?
Yeah, so again, you can see the Williams condo with the address. It's square right here with the WC in it. Again, this is the closest tower and sector in that area.
And Agent Bernie, do you see any communication between the device associated with Copeland and the device associated with either Mr. Sledge or Mr. Zachary on this slide?
I do.
And how many times from this window of 11:06 p.m. to 12:07 a.m. does the device associated with Mr. Copeland have some communication with the device associated with Mr. Sledge or Mr. Zachary?
Approximately 7 times.
Agent Bernie, I am publishing
7 times.
page 14. Were you ever asked to analyze a 6080 associated with a Demise McMullen?
I was.
What was the time frame you were requested to analyze for the phone associated with Mr. McMullen?
You can see it listed here, January 10th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Publishing slide 15. Now, Agent Bernie, do you recall when you were here last, we had the toll analysis board?
I do.
This call, what is the first call on slide 15 for the device associated with Mr. McMullen?
The first slide or first call here is at 7:29. You can see that outgoing call placed there. Again, you can see the tower and sector that was used for that.
And is that the first call we had discussed when we were referencing the boards?
It was.
Where, when that 729 call, was it incoming or outgoing?
It's an outgoing call.
And when the outgoing call from the device associated with Mr. McMullen, whose device associated did he call?
So as you can see here, it's an outgoing call to 3904, device associated with Mr. Woods.
And when that call was made, where was the device associated with Mr. McMullen in relation to 1080 West Peachtree Street associated with as Williams condo.
Yeah, so you can see the Williams condo there. Again, you can see the tower and sector there. It's in close proximity. Again, that tower and sector would be in the potential coverage area for the condo.
And is there two either calls or attempted calls after that 7:29 p.m. depicted on this slide?
There are.
Can you describe for the jury where they are and whose associated device was they were to?
Yep. So we see them here. 7:29 is the first one, and then there's 7:30 and 7:31 and 7:31. Both two outgoing calls. One thing you'll notice, these are Verizon records. We can tell based on the red box.
I'm sorry if you're watching this live on the live stream. You probably can't see. I can barely see it on this wide screen.
Show 00.
But
the records sent by Verizon only had the hour and minute. So again, no seconds recorded in
no
the record.
seconds.
So these calls
Verizon only do the hour and the minutes, no seconds recorded.
They were placed in the same minute, 7:31. My system just shows seconds on it. I just realized that in this time period in 2015, the Verizon seconds are all going to show 00. So we have during.
So y'all went backwards with the technology? I don't get it.
Outgoing calls placed by this device associated with Mr. McMullen, and both of those go to device ending in 800.
It says phone activity on January the 10th of the 15th
Agent
between
Bernie,
the hours of 6:30
those
p.m.
three
and 8
calls
p.m.
we just discussed,
What this chart says.
are they all the same tower and sector location?
They are.
Now,
Which is, again,
after that
based around
7:31
Donovan
call
Thomas
to
unalive.
the device associated with Mr. Bradford, where is the next tower?
So again, we have this one here at 7:31, tower and sector here. Again, this general area. The next one here is at 7:38, and here's the general area of that device there. So it's moved from this spot southbound.
And that 7:38 call, is that outgoing or incoming?
Incoming call.
And is that incoming call associated with any person you were asked to analyze?
It is Mr. Treadwell.
After that 7:38 call from Mr. Treadwell, where does the device associated with Mr. McMullen?
Let me ask y'all a question real quick. I feel like a trial like this, how many notebooks do y'all think the jury already done filled up? This man definitely came with his notes. He's had already been talking for a whole hour. We're gonna give him at least 45 minutes strong. Just about cell towers. This may bore a lot of people, but if you one of them people who trying to, do crime, this is things you should know. Cell towers, how do they work? How do they present the evidence into cases? Because that's exactly what we're watching. It's kind of seems in this case, they already know. They done introduce all the characters in this, January 10th, between the hours of 6:30 and 8 p.m. event, y'all. Everything outside of that time period is just extra. I feel like the meat and the potatoes of this case is exactly what they talking about right now. And I keep telling y'all that. Donovan, supposed to be the biggest. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest bees in the city, man. And it seemed like the workforce or the police force is not trying to stop until they get justice for the family and the people that love them.
Go next.
Yeah, so 7:38, then it uses this tower down here at 7:39, and then eventually this tower down here at 7:50.
But can you put all that on one man, two man,
And,
3 man, a whole group
Agent
of
Bernie,
people?
who is the 7:39 call associated with?
7:39 call.
Who was that 7:30?
Tower and sector here, you can see is associated with also Mr. Treadwell.
And what is the last four of the number? Well, I'll get to that in a second. Where is the call? Where's the next tower and location? after that call?
The next tower in sector is down here at 7:50.
And who is that call at 7:52?
It's an outgoing call, again, to the device associated to Mr. Treadwell.
And Agent Bernie, what is this blue, dark blue icon associated
Might
address,
have to-
35 Oak Drive Southwest? How is that depicted on this slide?
Yeah, so again, this was another address I was just asked to place on the slides, associated address. We can see it as a blue square with the number 2 in there.
And Agent Bernie,
check this out for y'all.
with the 7:50 outgoing call to the device associated
work.
with Mr. Treadwell, where is the phone associated with Mr.
Uh-huh.
McMullen
I know
in
what I can do.
relation to 35 Oak Drive Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia?
Yeah, so that 7:50 call here, again, we see the tower in the sector. The address, the associated address would be in the footprint of that tower in the sector.
And Agent Bernie, does this map have a scale?
It does. You can see it at the bottom down here.
Where is it?
How close approximately is the blue icon for 35 Oak Drive Southwest and the orange M for the McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue Southwest?
So between these 2 points here,
Cooking for a
approximately
minute.
a
Let me
mile
see.
straight line distance.
Looking up here.
Is there
About an hour and 30 minutes. This guy been
Any-
up looking up this chart.
gaps between the phone calls we just discussed, starting with
Let's see where they go with.
7:38 p.m. or 7:39 p.m. and 7:50?
No, there's no other activity during that time period.
And Agent Bernie, after that 7:50 outgoing call, at the bottom of the screen, where does the device associated with Mr. McMullen travel next?
So next is another call at 7:53. We see the tower and sector used, again, going to be in this general area here.
And where does it travel next?
The next activity is at 7:59, and we see the tower and sector used here. Now it's, again, here's that I-20/85 interchange. It's north and east up in this area.
So in general, Agent Bernie, from that call at 7:29 p.m. till the last call depicted on this slide at 7:59 p.m., what is the general direction of travel for the device associated with Mr. McMullen?
So the device has activity in this general area the last time at 7:31. We then see the device travel southbound, eventually using this tower and sector here in close proximity to this associated address number 2 at 7:50. And then shortly thereafter, we see the device start moving northbound again. And this slide ends at 7:59. You can see the tower and sector used there again, just north of that I-20/85 interchange.
And Agent Bernie, the 2 numbers on this slide that end in 0102 that don't have a name associated with it, do you see those?
I do.
Is that or is that not the same phone number that the device we looked at of Mr. Copeland interacted with when at 7:51 p.m.?
It is the same phone number, yes.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 16. What is the first call on this slide?
So again, this is the review period between 8:01 and 8:30 p.m. still on the 10th. The first activity we have is at 8:21. You see it there. It's an outgoing call to the device associated with Mr. Treadwell. You see the tower and sector of that device used right there.
And for that 8:21 outgoing call to the device associated with Kevin Treadwell, where is the device associated with Mr. McMullen in relation to 1080 West Peachtree Street Northwest?
Again, you can see the towers and sectors used. I would say that that tower and sector would provide coverage in this general area here that would also include the Williams.
So between the first call we looked at 7:29 p.m. to this 8:21 p.m. call, what is the general movement of the device associated with Mr. McMullen?
Yeah, so it departed, again, the area around the Williams condo, 731, went south near that associated address number 2 at 7:50 p.m. had an activity down there, and then moved back north, eventually arriving in the area around the Williams condo at 8:21, having activity in that area around 8:21.
Agent Bernie, I am publishing slide 17. Were you ever asked to analyze a phone number ending in 3145 associated with a Justin Cobb?
I was.
What was the time frame you were asked to analyze that phone number?
Again, I looked at between 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. on the 10th.
Agent Bernie, can you indicate for the jury and show them where the first call, the time and tower and sector for the first call from this phone?
Yeah, so again, looked at 6:30 to 8:30. Right? The thing to remember is, again, we can only see towers and sectors associated with activity. So this device during that time period only had 2 activities. The first of which is at 7:31 and 37 seconds. And we see that's an outgoing call. And we see the tower and sector used, again, would be one in close proximity to the Williams condo on West T Street.
And Agent Bernie, I'm republishing slide 15. Where is the device associated with Justin Cobb at 7:31 p.m. in relation to the device associated with Mr. McMullen at 7:31 p.m.?
Yeah, so those devices, again, are in the same general area. Obviously, with call detail records, we can't say specifically where a device is, but we can say a general area based on the towers. And both of those devices, again, would be in the general area around the Williams condo at 7:31.
And Agent Bernie, is the calls from the device associated with Mr. McMullen and the calls associated with the device of Justin Cobb, are they calling the same number or receiving calls from the same number?
They are.
And who is associated with that number?
That's a device associated with Mr. Brad.
Republishing slide 18. Agent Bernie, how long a gap in time is there between the 7:31 p.m. outgoing call to the device associated with Mr. Bradford and the next call depicted on the slide?
Yeah, so the next call, it's hard to see on the Zoom down there, but it's down here. You can see on the bottom of the slide at 8:29 p.m. So again, 7:31 to 8:29, just under an hour.
Publishing slide 19. Were you ever asked to analyze the phone ending in 8935 associated with an Antonio Sledge?
I was.
And what was the time frame you were asked to analyze that phone?
Again, reviewed roughly the same time. This is 6:20 to 8:22 on the 10th.
Publishing slide 20. What is the time and location of this call depicted on slide 20?
So again, the only activity during this time period for this device associated with Mr. Sledge is at 6:20 p.m. on the 10th. And we can see the tower and sector. Again, that puts that device somewhere in this general area.
And who is the outgoing call at 6:20? Is it to any other phone number that you were asked to analyze?
I was. It's associated to Mr. Zachary.
Publishing slide 21. Agent Bernie, can you explain this single tower, but what's depicted there from 7:55 to 8:22 p.m.?
Yep. So again, activity of the same device ending in 89, 39, 35 associated with Mr. Sledge, 7:55, 8:22 p.m. You can see the tower here, and it actually used 2 different sectors. One we see is associated with 30, and one says -1. The -1 there just shows that the tower list didn't specifically have the sector orientation. I had to go back and verify that with the provider themselves. So in this case, this is an AT&T device. So AT&T provided that the azimuth for what's listed here as -1 is actually 90 degrees. So what we see is, again, tower and sector activity between 7:55 and 8:22 puts the device in this general area here, as it used, two sides of the same tower.
And Agent Bernie, in this window from 7:55 to 22 p.m. depicted on slide 21, is there any communication between the device associated with Mr. Sledge and the device associated with Mr. Zachary?
There is.
Can you show the jury the time of those communications?
Yeah, so the Mr. Zachary associated device is the 5726 last four. So we see one at 7:55, and then we see one again at 7:56.
And
Outgoing calls.
Agent Bernie, who is associated with the phone number ending in 5991?
That device is associated to Mr. Copeland.
And is there a call between the device of Mr. Sledge and the device of Mr. Copeland depicted on this slide?
There is 8:22 p.m. an incoming call to Mr. Sledge's device from Mr. Copeland's device.
Agent Bernie, I'm publishing slide 22. Were you ever asked to analyze a phone number associated with Mr. Bradford ending in 8008?
I was.
What was the time frame you were asked to analyze that device?
Again, we have 6:36 p.m. to 8:27 p.m., both on the 10th.
Publishing slide 23. Agent Bernie, can you walk the jury through the movement of the device associated with Mr. Bradford with the towers depicted from 6:36 p.m. to 7:19 p.m.?
Again, so again, this slide, January 10th, 6:36 to 7:19 p.m. Again, location of interest was the crime scene at 330 McDaniel Street. See that as the red box there. The first call during this time period is this one down here. It's hard to see, but it says 6:36 p.m. We see the devices in this general area. 6:38, the device is now using this tower and sector here, is moved northbound. And then at 6:52, we see the device now using this tower and sector here, uses that at 6:52. 6:56, now we're using this tower and sector here. And then eventually it bounces back to this one here at 7:12, 7:14, and 7:19.
Now, Agent Bernie, from that first call at 6:36 p.m. In what appears to be Peoplestown from the map, do you see that?
I do.
When does the device associated with Bradford or the travel from that Peoplestown tower till the last call at 7:19 p.m., how is that movement in relation to the crime scene at 330 McDaniel Street?
Yeah, so the initial call, 6:36, again, down here in the south side of the slide, moves up to the I-2085 interchange area, and then it moves westbound, first having an activity in this general area here at 6:52, and then again, it uses this tower, bounces to this tower, and bounces back to this tower again. Again, think of the sprinkler system, right? There's going to be some overlap between the two. We have this tower initially, then we bounce to this one, then we bounce back, which means that there's probably in some of the overlap between this tower and this tower. And then eventually 7:19 is the last call mapped on this slide.
So, Agent Bernie, to be clear, between 6:52 p.m. and 7:19 p.m. is the device associated with Mr. Bradford in the general area of 330 McDaniel Street?
Yes, again, I can't specifically say, but I would say it's in the overlap between those two, and that overlap would be, again, in this general area here.
Publishing slide 24. When is the next call after the 7:19 p.m. call?
The next activity is at 7:24, and we can see the device is moved again from where it was up in the vicinity of the crime scene. Now it's moved south and east over here at 7:24.
And Agent Bernie, do you remember when you testified first, we published two Yankee, which was a CAD report?
Yes.
How long after that
What's the
911 call was
saying they
received
say,
was
y'all?
this call at 7:24 p.m. depicted at the top of this slide?
I think approximately 2 minutes.
Men lie,
And
women lie.
after that call, Agent Bernie, where
Numbers
does the
don't
device
lie.
associated with Bradford travel?
So it goes from this area here to
This a
area
pretty boring
down
part,
here.
but
It's hard to
at the end of the day,
see here.
like
But it's in the vicinity.
they done
of
had
that
gave
associated
testimony
device
to their
number.
whereabouts.
Gets down there approximately.
It's been word in the streets that Muntu
in that area until
didn't do enough on the stand, and he might be going back to jail allegedly. But I seen the who is that?
Maybe take a brief.
EV over there by Lee, the attorney. Oh, here we go. First morning break. Perfect. I be over there by the lead attorney. I be over there by Cat Knott Williams. Salute to them. I be over there by Kayla. Woody got dang. Yeah, I remember Kayla who represented Woody for a hot second when Melnick didn't show up. Then to come to find out, Melnick done lost his license. Melnick got a lot of stuff going on, y'all. You remember that? Y'all remember that? So I be tuned in, and they saying that Moon Tune allegedly, y'all, did not do enough on the stand, and they might be revoking his what you
You're
call it,
on. We
something
want
about
to
the
trip over
fine
before the
print,
computer died.
That one,
There's a
yeah,
delay, so
no problem.
something about the contract that he signed, y'all.
Yes, let's take 10 or 15 minutes.
Something about the contract. They saying he ain't fulfilled. Yeah, definitely, man. Flip mode. That's crazy. We gonna do something about that later on for sure. For sure. Um, yeah, they saying Moon Tuka ain't doing enough, y'all. They saying he and that was the one who told Miss Love she was hurting him. She was making his head hurt. The questions was too much. It was too awkward. And I feel like this whole trial has been too much. This whole trial has been very awkward. It has been everything. You couldn't write Hollywood couldn't write a better script, y'all. Hollywood couldn't write a better script from the first day that we seen that they did the sweep and they had the Gunna, everybody in the house, and some more people at other houses all locked up on the same day. The feds did a sweep, but it wasn't the feds. We would come later on find out it was just the state, y'all. It was just Fulton County SWAT. uh, Fannie Willis told them it was coming. Um, it came, and we are here today. The longest trial in Fulton County history. I don't know how they pulling this off. It has been 3 judges. Judge Whitaker is the standing judge, but before her, we had Judge Glanville, the chief judge of the whole facility in Fulton County, y'all. They brought in the chief judge because the judge before Glanville, which I cannot remember his name, it was so long ago, y'all. We almost a year into this dang on trial. And what's so crazy about this supposed to be the speedy version. You know, Thugger has spent a lot of money. His attorney is not cheap. It's probably one of them deals, y'all, that I think the attorney is really just hanging on the case because of his, like, you know what I'm saying, his own morality, like, start something, then I'm gonna finish it. But it's amazing how any of these guys, lawyers, is still, I think they all had the same mindset. But it's literally been proven and dated to date the longest trial in Fulton County history, and it might the facts straight on that before I state that, but the longest trial in Georgia history. And we talking about it and we breaking it down right now. We got all, like I said earlier, Hollywood couldn't write a better script, y'all. They said Gunna was telling, they called him Gunatello. They called him a rat. They did the normal thing that people do when they don't understand what's going on. But the reporters and the people who spinning the narratives, the news, the media, the streets, everybody eating it up, throwing it all this and all that in the pot. They stirring the pot, capping a lot, and then you hear all type of stuff come out. But it hit different, I must say, when you get the professionals out breaking it all down. And it's been everything in this, y'all. It's been 3 judges. It has been unalivings. Threat is gone. Threat is no longer a threat out here, y'all. No disrespect. It's just the truth. They say threat led to his name, but some way, somehow, they caught him slipping at the apartments during the trial. So they can't even use that character. That character was unlocked and then locked back. You feel me? I don't know what to say about the guys that had testified so far. We had a lot of I don't recall. No one can recall the events back of 2015. The January the 10th, y'all. But it seems as though they have done a lot of spending because it doesn't just come overnight, these charts and all this, man. I don't know if y'all know, but at this point of the case, y'all, they done cooked up all the characters. What they did is they did it backwards. This is kind of unorthodox, especially, first off, let's be honest, we don't even tune into trials this long. A lot of people been tuned out. You got people tuning in, tuning out. You got people who been here the whole time, right? But this is one of them things, it's like, it's mind bending a little bit because you don't know nothing about no secret ex parte lingo and what that mean. But now you do. You see witnesses come on the stand, I don't recall. So what's happening is they did it backwards to say, all right, look at the witnesses, y'all. Look at they're using the people who actually used to rock together against each other, against one another. And they telling everything. They got them on wiretaps. We done had investigation video and audio over, I want to say 1,000 hours of that. Testimony from the police. Of course, the police gonna give great testimony because they got to actually record everything that happens during their job. These, excuse my language, criminals, we just gonna say that, they ain't doing none of that. They ain't recording none of that down. That's why they don't recall anything. So they already at a disadvantage because they ain't got no proof, which is good, of what occurred. So now we got to get drug out because, let's be honest, it's over 20 people indicted on a RICO trial. The worst thing you want to hear or see on your paperwork is that 4-letter word, RICO. They got to prove without a reasonable doubt that Thugger, they trying to call him King Slime, y'all. They trying to say Thug, the rapper, the one that everybody used to say was Yag, because he had the dress. You remember? An artist. And last time I checked, I thought artists was supposed to be creative, imaginative. And now we get to see how basically one artist, because there's only one thug as far as the rapper, but it's a lot of thugs in this case. Goddamn. So you trying to tell me that one person is responsible for all these men? I don't know, y'all. It sounds kind of bogus. Now, what I do to believe to be true, it's a lot of things that we already done seen and we already done heard, man. These boys was young. They was reckless. It was about, what is this, 2005, 2025, about to be down there 10 years ago, man.
Why
Let's look at
didn't
some
you
of this
call
old
the
footage.
police?
YSL Lil Woody looking dumbfounded when a DA asked him why didn't he call the police. Like, she don't know he a thug. Shout him,
Why
man,
didn't
don't
you call
tell
the
these
police?
folk why you did it, man.
Gotta get my lid back.
Say, twin.
You want to get your lick
What
back?
the fuck, nigga, y'all been looking?
I don't know why they come.
Well, what did you just say? You want to get your lick back? Was your brother in the car with you when it was getting shot at?
No,
So why did you have your brother call the police and not you?
because it was his car.
But did the shooting happen to you?
The shooting happened to the car.
Okay, while you were in it?
The car was shot, not me,
The car was shot while you were in it. Why didn't you call the police?
because it wasn't my car. I didn't have license. It wasn't my car.
Threw your own brother under the bus. No loyalty amongst thieves.
Let's talk about it, man. Y'all remember that?
Right.
And then another car with Mr. Nichols and Mr. Farley in it. And now it sounds like they're saying that this Boyer phone, whoever owns this phone, was in one of those cars. And I'm inquiring what. I don't know anything.
I'd like to provide that information.
I don't know. You want to check and make sure on that. Okay.
Because it was not a part of the original. Yes.
Okay. How long has the defense known anything whatsoever about this person named Boyer?
Your Honor. Oh, that for this, I can tell you from my understanding of the discovery, there is zero information on Mr. Boyer except one mention in a jail call. That is it. That from my whole database, I have one mention.
Do y'all remember that finesse? Yeah, I been clipped that because I knew it would play. I knew it would come to play, and this how they played it. One of the other attorney, look, man, a little word from the street, allegedly, right? The attorney said it only says Boyer with a little statement beside it, y'all. They had Boyer in the tuck. They slid him in the paperwork because you know they got to get a lawyers what's going on. They knew they was gonna run these cell towers today. They knew all the carry. I'm telling you how it went down. They done drug this case out, man, using all the taxpaying money, man. And they knew what they wanted, man. They knew how they was gonna get it. That's the proof right there. And if, just in case you ain't know who Boyer was the one that the wiretaps from last week, y'all. Keep up with me, man. I'm run it back one more time. I need y'all to keep up with me. But as you can see, Glanville was still in there. Yeah, that hot throwback, it aged well, man. That one aged well. Clips are still us, and you just got one.
Right.
And then another car with Mr. Nichols and Mr. Farley in it. And now it sounds like they're saying that this Boyer phone, whoever owns this phone, was in one of those cars. And I'm inquiring what. I don't know anything.
I'd like to provide that information.
I don't know. You want to check and make sure on that. Okay.
Because it was not a part of the original. Yes.
Okay. How long has the defense known anything whatsoever about this person named Boyer?
Your Honor. Oh, that for this, I can tell you from my understanding of the discovery, there is zero information on Mr. Boyer except one mention in a jail call. That is it. That from my whole database, I have one mention.
Okay, I think we have everybody. All right, let's get the jury back.
Y'all got to keep up with me now. I'm trying to goddamn feed y'all the, yeah. Put that in your cup and stir it up. They already knew they was going to run that play. The wiretaps. Of course, they ain't going to put that in the discovery pack. Wow. Wow. That's slick, man. That's how they play it.
Hey, Laura, is it still like 60 something?
Allegedly, she keep the courtroom below zero. You gotta bring a coat. That's why everybody was in the middle of the summertime already wearing their long sleeve coats, bundled up. Allegedly. So they getting back right. Jury about to come back in, and right now we looking at hold on, let me take Thug off of her. We looking at the testimony of the dude from I guess who does the cell towers and the information off that. I think I got a little bit we can. So why they get right? So boom. Yeah, y'all. So you just actually seen clips that I already had loaded up because I knew when that went down, when I was watching the trial and I heard that go down, I was like, hold up, that don't sound right. How they saying they don't even know? And then you heard one dude said they got zero information about that person. Then one dude said, besides a jail phone, a jail conversation. Turns out it wasn't on no jail phone though. That's why they didn't want to put it there. It was a jail conversation because the dude, yeah, he was in jail, but he wasn't talking on a jail phone. It hit different when you in jail, the jail phone. That's how they got the wiretap. The wire, you don't know that you got tapped. That's how they got to talking so freely. And we listened to that last week, y'all. So this is what we are expecting to get, and it's already been 2 hours. So hopefully they done. Maybe they can do the cross on the guy with the cell towers, or maybe they can bring in another witness. We don't know how they're gonna play it. If you didn't already and you new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We got good content over here. And you're not gonna get this breakdown. No one else. Everybody else speculating, man. I'm out here. You hear me? Anybody outside of the GA, man, and they giving you that breakdown, they getting it. They getting that leftovers. You feel me? I'm telling y'all, man. I'm telling y'all, we breaking it all the way down. This is basically what they call back in the day railroad. Cause you got some guys who already done took, they done play it out. They ain't even want to fight. They play it out or probably couldn't fight. Let's see what's going on.
In the general area associated with associated address number 2 between 7:31 and 8:08 p.m.
Agent Bernie, within that time frame of 7:31 p.m. to 8:08 p.m., starting at the top, do you see any phone calls with other numbers you analyzed?
I do.
Where are they at the top?
Yep. So the first one is that we see is this Justin Cobb, an incoming call to the Bradford device, 7:31 and 50 seconds. And then the next one down is a incoming call at 7:31 and 53 seconds to the McMullen device.
And Agent Bernie, when at that 7:31 call, where is the devices associated with Mr. Cobb and the devices associated with Mr. McMullen on these two 7:31 p.m. calls at that time?
Well,
And
can you repeat that question again?
Yes. Do you see the location here for those 7:31 calls at 7:31 and 50 milliseconds and 7:31 and 53 milliseconds?
Seconds, yes, right here.
I am going to republish slide 15. Do you see on slide 15 that 7:31 p.m. call between the device associated with Mr. Bradford and the device associated with Mr. McMullen?
I do. The McMullen device, 7:31 p.m. Again, using a tower and sector in the general vicinity of the Williams complex.
And Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 18. Do you see that call at 7:31 p.m. between the device associated with Mr. Bradford and the device associated with Mr. Cobb?
I do.
And where is the device associated with Mr. Cobb at that point in time?
Again, using a tower and sector in the vicinity of the Williams complex.
Going back to slide 24. Agent Bernie, do you see the call, or do you see that the device associated with Mr. Bradford has a call at 7:47 p.m.?
I do.
And is that in the general area of 35 Oak Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia?
It is.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 15. Do you see a call on slide 15 at 7:50 p.m.?
I do.
And is this 3 minutes after the call that we just discussed with Mr. Bradford?
It is.
And where is the device associated with Mr. McMullen at 7:50 p.m.?
Again, using the tower and sector here in close proximity to the general area associated with associated address number 2.
So is the device associated with Mr. McMullen and a device associated with Mr. Bradford at 7:47 p.m. or 7:50 p.m., where are they in relation to one another?
They're in the same general area around associated address number 2.
Going back to slide 24. After that, or what is the only other tower depicted on slide 24 that is that we have not discussed?
Yeah, there's a tower here at 807 out here that's used for an outgoing call.
Agent Bernie, I'm publishing slide 25. What are, or where is the movement of the device associated with Mr. Bradford between 8:17 and 8:27?
So again, the slide covers that time period, 8:17 to 8:27. We see the tower and sector used. Again, put that device in this general area here, 8:17 to 8:23. And then we have activity on this tower and sector over here to the west at 8:27.
Agent Bernie, I am publishing slide 26. Were you ever asked to analyze a phone number ending in 3904 associated with Jeffrey Williams?
I was.
And what was the time frame that you were requested to analyze?
Yeah, so I looked at calls between 7:03 and 8:22 p.m. on the 10th.
Publishing slide 27. Now, Agent Bernie, when is the first call on this slide?
First call is at 7:03. We see the tower and sector here used. And we can see this tower was used at 7:03 to 7:31.
And when is the next, or do you see a call at 7:03:39?
I do.
Is that call at 7:03:39 to any devices you were requested to analyze?
It is. It's to the 1990 device associated with Miss Dolly Group.
And when is the next call after the 7:03:39 call?
7:29 and 30 seconds, an incoming call from the McMullen device. Sorry.
Now, how much of a gap in time is there between 7:03:39 p.m. and 7:29:30 p.m.?
Approximately 26 minutes.
And with the records with the call detail records you had for phone number 3904, were you able to plot any tower locations between that window of time?
No, again, we're dependent upon phone activity, and there were no activity that had towers and sectors during that time period.
Now, after that gap in time, who is the device associated with Jeffrey Williams communicating with, and at what time?
Between the 7:03 and 7:31.
Between 7:03 and 7:29, or at 7:29.
Yep. So you have the 7:03 call again with Dolly Greer, and then a 7:29 incoming
And for all of these calls depicted on this slide, is the device associated with Williams? Where is it in relation to 1080 West Peachtree Street?
Again, we can see the tower and sector that's used here. One thing to note is this is T-Mobile, right? All the green dots. There's a lot more green dots than in some of the other providers, right? So T-Mobile loves putting lots of smaller towers in there, and some of which are taller towers. I obviously didn't look up every tower in here, but I did look up the tower that was used here at 703 to 731. And this is a very large tower. It's about 156 feet, I think, in height. So again, that would, again, put that phone in this general area.
And Agent Bernie, where is the device associated with?
Agent Bernie really hit, because I ain't gonna lie, y'all. The state is really eating this up right now. Like, they trying to really tire us out with this information. I know it may sound boring, but it is critical, because what they have done is they're going for the gusto. They're going for the you know what I'm saying, the kill shot, allegedly, goddamn, because they done had all these folk come on here and say I don't recall for the testimony that they was up there testifying for. And I was wondering for a second, well, why are they wasting everybody's time with all these witnesses? This is why, y'all. Because they done did. This is the work that they done really did. They done put these folk up in the cross. They done put these folk, they done got them crossed up in the cloud. They so busy worried about what they got going on ground level, they ain't even thinking about the cell towers. He breaking it all down. They done did months of this. He done came with a map with a scale on it, y'all. That's equivalent to a high-powered rifle with a scope on it, y'all. Allegedly. This is critical. So, I mean, get your notes down. Like, this is what the jury got to deal with initially, because they eating up what he almost 2 hours in just this. The defense didn't even get a chance to do the cross. This is getting lengthy.
Mr. McMullen located at when this 7:29 p.m. call is made?
So it's also in the same general area here. Obviously, it's a different provider. The McMullen device is a Verizon, and we saw in the previous slide, I think it used like a tower located right here. There's a Verizon tower that would have put the device again in the general area of the Williams condo. So these two devices are in the same general area.
And Agent Bernie, looking at your slide 7 with the phone numbers analyzed, who was the phone number ending in 9596 associated with?
Miss Dora Greer.
And so this last call on slide 27, is that the same number, 9596?
It is.
Although it has Jeffrey Williams listed there, is the associations provided to you by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office for this case associate that number with Dora Greer?
It does. Yeah. So when I originally put in all the phone numbers and associated names provided to me by law enforcement, we went off of the subscriber's name, which was E. Williams. But then afterwards, it was identified that that number was being utilized by Ms. Dora Greer. However, my system just shows again that it's Williams, but know that the 9596 is actually associated to Ms. Dora Greer.
Agent Bernie, I am publishing slide 28.
I mean, I must say, this is cutthroat business we are looking at. At this point, they trying to say they don't even need you no more for your testimony, y'all. They don't need you. They said with law enforcement, he's okay. The subscriber is this person. But by working with law enforcement, we was able to know that that person really wasn't that person, but this person, but we still tracking them though. Is this why it took so long? Because they was tracking these people in real time to use it against them for real crime. And it's proven in my last videos.
So after that 7:29 p.m. call we just discussed on the slide before, where does the device associated with Jeffrey Williams travel?
Yeah, so the next activity is 7:33. You see it down here, but it kind of cuts off some of the bottom. So at 7:33, there's an outgoing call to the Treadwell device. Again, the device associated with Mr. Williams is in the general area of the associated address. Number 2.
Now, Agent Bernie, going back to slide 27, do you see the 7:31 p.m. call we just discussed?
I do.
Now, publishing slide 28, can you explain for the jury, does that tower at 7:33, how long after is that call?
Approximately 2 minutes.
Is that a small, average, or large distance to travel in 2 minutes?
That was a large distance.
Can you explain for the jury some, what do you make of that, or how do you explain that?
Yeah, so again, between this tower and the tower used on the previous slide, I think it's about 7 to 8 kilometers. Again, that's about 4.5, 5 miles approximate. Don't hold me to the map there. And that's about 2 minutes in between those two calls. What's in discussing this with T-Mobile folks and other folks within our industry, if you go back to page 27, what we believe happened is
I'll pose an objection to confrontation clause.
Response?
Your Honor, I need to approach to appropriately respond, but it'll be brief.
Yeah, I'm ready for the agent. What I forgot his name, Barner or whatever. Go ahead and wrap this up because I mean we get it. They done admitted all this into evidence. It's looking critical right now because they got Copeland and all these other people that they just mentioned on. Man, they got them by. They got all this evidence on them, but it's crazy that they already let them go. All that evidence that they had against them people, but they already are gone. Cut deals with the defense, the prosecutors, and they cannot be held accountable for, you know what I'm saying, all this stuff. That's the craziest thing to me. What is the justice in any of this situation, y'all? I feel like this is just a way of basically, I don't know what this is. I can't make up nothing. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to. Let's be honest. Let's see how they done cut the break of what done happened. I feel like if you're gonna hold a RICO or whatever, you gotta hold everybody accountable, man. Like they got people on here that they know are guilty, but they say for information we'll cut deals. And this ain't nothing. No, this was been going on, but to see it brought to the light, like it has been, you know, is kind of like I said again, it's mind bending because what is the justice in it when you know you got to let people slide for their deeds in it just to get other people? It's like what they said, you want to catch the bigger fish, so you throw the other fish back in the pond, knowing that you know you probably still gotta. I feel like when they throw these people back out there to the streets, they know what they're doing, because we got to just go off of what we just witnessed in the last few days
Agent
on
Bernie,
this trial, y'all.
Okay.
Oh, they back.
If,
Have
I don't know
you
if were
worked-
standing or sitting? If you're not using that, you feel free to sit.
Agent Bernie,
I'm gonna build up some, yeah. I'm gonna build up some slack. Let me finish what I was saying real quick. But they done came in with all of this information last minute strategically because they withheld so much information as far as wiretaps and what they were saying on that phone. That was critical. You feel me? But I'm gonna go ahead and let it play out. Hopefully they get Agent Barnes on up through there.
Bernie, have you worked with records from cell phone providers that are from the years 2015 or older?
I have.
And when specifically related to towers, have you ever heard of the phrase camping on a tower?
I have.
Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so again,
Overruled.
You may answer, Agent Bernie.
okay. So again, in the network, when your phone is on, it's scanning the environment, and then the phone picks the tower and sector with the best signal. Sometimes that device will finish a call and just go exactly to the next call, or maybe you ended a call because there was an incoming call and a tower and sector was already assigned and being used by the device. And that device then continues to use that tower and sector. That would be a term of an example of the tower camping or holding on to a tower a little bit past its normal range.
And Agent Bernie, that phenomenon, camping with cell phone towers, how has that changed from 2015 to 2024?
Yeah, 2015, you got to remember that's almost 10 years ago. The technology has obviously advanced. There's more towers. The processing and speed rate of our communication is significantly faster than it was, 9 years ago. So we see less of it now in 2024 than we did in 2019 and earlier.
And Agent Bernie, without stating or relying on any conversation with T-Mobile, based on your training and experience, what is one or what is an explanation for the movement between 731 and 733 on these slides we've just discussed?
Your Honor, I'm going to pose the same objection. I don't believe that's foundation.
Well, we'll see whether he can answer it that way, but given the way the question is phrased, I would overrule that objection.
You may answer, Agent Bernie.
Yes, so what we see when we look at page 27, we see an incoming call at 7:29 and 30 seconds. And then the next is a outgoing call placed at 7:31 and 17 seconds. Those two are in close proximity of times to the time period that those two calls. So in my expert opinion, I would say that device obviously still shows that tower and sector as the best signal and was in the footprint, meaning usable coverage area of that tower and sector for both of them. It had to happen, otherwise it would have went to another tower and sector. And then we see the next call again is at 7:33, again, maybe.
Let's just be honest with ourselves once and for all. The digital footprint, we knew it was real, but there you go. You just heard it. Digital footprints everywhere you go. He said the technology is way better now than 2015. He said camping, we see less of that now. I just learned a lot. I hope y'all paid attention too.
Between the two towers, a distance of like 4 miles.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm publishing slide 28. What is the general movement of the device associated with Jeffrey Williams depicted from 7:33 p.m. to 8 p.m.?
May I stand again?
You may, yeah, please feel free to. I just didn't want you to feel like you had to continue to stand.
He was
So
down
again,
teaching the class.
733, we see the call using this tower and sector in the area associated near the area of the associated address number 2. We have that call at 733, 743, and one at 755, again using all the same tower and sector. And then we see the device start to move northbound. 758, it uses a tower and sector in this area, and then eventually at 8 o'clock, the devices continue to move further north. So again, first calls 733, last calls start to move in the northbound general area.
How many calls are depicted on this slide between 7:33 and 8 p.m. total that you were able to plot?
5.
How many of those 5 calls are between the device associated with Jeffrey Williams and the device associated with Kevin Treadwell?
3.
Now, Agent Bernie, do you see the call at 7:55 p.m. on this slide?
I do.
And where is the device associated with Jeffrey Williams to the associated address at 35 Oak Drive?
We can see it here. Again, the tower and sector would provide coverage in this general area. So again, I would say the device is in proximity, close proximity to associated address number 2 at 755.
And Agent Bernie, I'm going to republish slide 15. Do you see the 7:50 p.m. call on the device associated with Mr. McMullen on slide 15?
I do. It's kind of cut off right here. You can see the tower and sector here. That's for that 7:50 call right there.
And Agent Bernie, who is the device associated with Mr. McMullen speaking with at this time?
This is a call again to the device associated with Mr. Treadwell.
And is the call we just discussed with Defendant Williams' phone, how much time is apart between those 2 calls?
So this one's 7:50, and the one associated with Mr. Williams, that call is at 7:55.
And in that time frame, with the call detail records you have, where are the devices associated with McMullen and the devices associated with Defendant Williams in that time frame, 7:50 or 7:55?
Again, the same general area. We see 7:50. Obviously, the device is in this general area. And the same on page 28. You'll see that at 7:55, the Williams device is in the same general area.
And Agent Bernie, I'm republishing slide 24. Do you see a 7:47 p.m. call on this slide?
I do. Excuse me.
And for the device associated with Mr. Bradford, where is his device at 7:47 p.m. in relation to the 35 Oak Drive address?
So again, at the 7:47 outgoing call, you can see the tower and sector that's used. Again, putting that device in this general area here, the same general area associated with associated address number 2.
And is that same general area in relation to 35 Oak Drive Southwest? Where is that in relation to the location of Mr. McMullen's, the device associated with Mr. McMullen and the device associated with Defendant Williams we just discussed?
Yeah, again, that's still the same general area here all around the address, the Oak Drive address.
Agent Bernie, going back to slide 28, is there any gaps in time from the southbound tower in terms of when calls are made?
Yes, there's a 7:33, and then approximately 10 minutes later, 7:43, and then approximately 12 or 11 minutes later, you have 7:55.
And is it possible for the device associated with Defendant Williams to have traveled to the McDonald's from the area near the 35 Oak Drive Southwest as depicted on the slide? I can ask additional questions, Your Honor.
All right.
Agent Bernie, how far or what is the scale on this map, Agent Bernie?
Yeah, we see the scale at the bottom down here.
And using that scale, how far is the distance between 35 Oaks Drive Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia, and 150 Cleveland Avenue Southwest?
So the distance between this point here at 2 and this point here at M, which is the McDonald's straight line distance, is probably around a mile.
And Agent Bernie, have you driven vehicles before?
I have.
Can you travel 0.8 miles in 10 minutes?
You can.
All right, overruled.
Agent Bernie. Publishing slide 29. Where is the first call on slide 29?
So again, just the continuation of, again, the a phone number associated with the Williams device. We see the first phone call here is at 8 o'clock and 15 seconds. We see that device here, and then the next activity is at 8:22, again, around the area of the Williams company.
And Agent Bernie, are these two towers, where are they in relation to Highway 85?
Yeah, so Interstate 85 is this yellow road that goes right here. So you can see this tower here, very close to Interstate 85. And then if you look at this second tower over here, it's obviously very close to Interstate 85.
So Agent Bernie, with this call at 8:22 p.m. is the phone associated with Defendant Williams. Where is that in relation to 1080 West Peachtree Street Southwest?
Again, you can see the tower and the sector that's used, and it's in very close proximity to the Williams condo on the West Peachtree Street Northwest.
And Agent Bernie, going to page 27, from this 7:29 p.m. call incoming from the device associated with Mr. McMullen till the 8:22 p.m. call we just discussed, what is the general movement of Defendant Williams' device?
Yeah, so the device obviously starts up here in the area around the Williams condo. It moves southbound, eventually being in the general area around associated address number 2 at 7:33. Again, there's activity at 7:33, 7:43, and 7:55. And then the device starts to move northbound again, eventually reaching the area around the condo at an activity around 8:22.
And Agent Bernie, with that general route of travel you just described, I am republishing slide 15. How does the travel of device associated with Mr. McMullen between 7:29 p.m. and roughly 8:21 p.m. compare with the movement of the device associated with Defendant Williams in that time frame?
Yeah, they're similar. Obviously they start around the same location, around the same time period. They move to the general area around associated address number 2, around the same time period, or roughly the same time period, and then move back. So again, similar travel patterns.
And Agent Bernie, is the device in this time window, is the devices associated with Mr. McMullen and the devices associated with Defendant Williams, do either, none, or both have communication with the device associated with Kevin Treadwell?
They both do.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 29, or sorry, excuse me, slide 30. Were you ever asked to analyze or plot the device associated with Quindarius Zachary?
I was.
And what was the time frame you were requested to analyze Mr. Zachary's phone?
You see it listed there, 6:53 to about 7:56 p.m. on the 10th.
Publishing slide 31. Agent Bernie, where is the first call on for the device associated with Mr. Zachary in this time frame?
Yep, so the first time is, again, we have this tower and sector used right here at 6:53 p.m. An outgoing call, we'll see that tower and sector again. We put the device in this general area here. And that's activity between 6:53 and 7:56, with one tower being used here at 7:25.
And so other than that one call at 7:25, does the device associated with Mr. Zachary in this time frame appear to remain in the same general location?
It does, other than the 7:25 call.
And Agent Burney, do you see a call at 7:56 p.m.?
I do.
Is the call at 7:56 p.m. incoming or outgoing?
That's an incoming call.
And is it associated with any device you were requested to analyze?
It is. It's associated to the 8935 device associated to Mr. Sledge.
Agent Burney, I'm going to publish State's Exhibit, or it's not State's Exhibit, page 32. Were you ever requested to analyze the phone records related to a Kevin Treadwell with a phone number ending in 2643?
I was.
And what was the time frame you were requested to analyze that device?
Again, on the 10th, 6:23 to 8:22 p.m. for this device.
Publishing slide 33. Now, Agent Burney, where is the first call on this slide?
So the first call on this slide uses this tower here, and it uses the north side of it. Again, we can see based on these numbers here, 0 being the azimuth of north, we know that it used the north side at 6:23.
And Agent Burney, when does it leave that tower and sector? Where does it travel next after the 6:23 p.m.?
Yeah, so it's on this tower and various sides of that tower till approximately 7:33, and then it uses this tower and one of the sides of this tower at 7:35.
And Agent Burney, with that 7:33 p.m. call, was that an incoming or outgoing call?
You see the 7:33 right there is an incoming call.
And is it connected with a device you were requested to analyze?
I was, the device ending in 3904.
And after receiving that call at 7:33 p.m. from the device associated with Defendant Williams, where does the phone associated with Mr. Treadwell travel?
So again, it's in this vicinity to start. Now it uses this tower, specifically the north side, because 330 degrees would be this side right here. So at 7:35, it's on this side of that tower.
And is that side of that tower, Agent Burney, where is that in relation to the McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue?
So the McDonald's is located right here. We see that as kind of the yellow or orange M right there. And that tower, specifically that sector, we can see would most likely be in the coverage area. The McDonald's would most likely be in the coverage area of that tower itself.
And after that 7:33 p.m. incoming call from the phone associated with Defendant Williams, what is the next, or what is the next call?
So we got 7:33 over here, again using this tower and sector. Then you have the 7:35 outgoing call using this tower and sector.
And Agent Burney, in this towers depicted, is the device associated with Kevin Treadwell ever in the general vicinity of the 35 Oak Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia?
It is. That's the blue square right here with the number 2 in it. So anytime the phone uses this sector here or this tower in this sector here, the phone could be, again, in the general area of associated address number 2. So that would be starting at 7:45 right here. It's still using this tower, but we're using the sector that's oriented to 210 degrees, which is this side over here. And then in this box here, it uses this tower and sector, and those calls are from 7:49 until 8:11.
And Agent Bernie, do you see between the 7:33 p.m. call from Defendant Williams, do you see a call after that, or when is the next call after that, if any, that the phone number associated with Mr. McMullen appears?
The next time is at 7:38.
And how far apart time are those two calls?
Well, you got 7:33 to 7:38, so approximately 5 minutes.
And Agent Bernie, do you see the call with tower 1616 depicted in the bottom left at 7:56 p.m.?
I do.
Is that an incoming or outgoing call?
That's an incoming call.
And who is that incoming call? Is it from a phone number you were requested to analyze?
It is 6080, device associated to Mr. McMullen.
And what is the next call on that tower after that call?
It is 7:58 right here, and that's an incoming call from 3904, device associated to Mr. Williams.
And how much time is between those two calls?
Approximately 8 minutes.
Now, Agent Bernie, zeroing in on that 750 call with the device associated with Kevin Treadwell and the device associated with Demise McMullen. Do you see that?
I do.
And I wanted to publish slide 15. Where is the device associated with Demise McMullen at 7:50 p.m.?
Again, you can see the tower and sector used puts that device in the general area around associated address number 2.
And is those two devices between McMullen, the devices associated with Mr. McMullen and Mr. Treadwell, have calls between each other on that at that 7:50 time?
They do.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to also publish slide 28. Do you see the 7:55 p.m. call on this slide?
I do.
And for the 3904 associated with Defendant Williams, who is the call at 7:55 between?
That 7:55 is an outgoing call from the Williams device to phone number ending in 2643, which is the device associated with Treadwell.
And where is the device associated with Defendant Williams on that call in relation to the device associated with Mr. Treadwell, the device associated with McMullen around that time?
Yeah, all of those devices, again, are in this general area here around the associated address number 2.
And Agent Bernie, between the movements of the device associated with McMullen and the device associated with Defendant Williams, does the tower, do the towers utilized in that window of time of roughly 7:29 to 8:22, where are they in relation in general to I-85?
The towers that are utilized are very close to I-85 as they travel. The devices travel from the general vicinity around the Williams condo to the vicinity around the associated address number 2 and then back up.
Publishing Agent Bernie slide 34. Were you ever requested to analyze the phone number ending in 9596 associated with Dora Greer?
I was.
And what was the time frame for that?
Again, you can see that here, 6:20 p.m. to 8:11 p.m. on January the 10th.
Agent Bernie, can you describe for the jury the general movement of the device associated with Dora Greer in this time frame?
Yeah, so again, 620, first activity that we looked at here, again, puts that device north 75 area near Vinings. The device eventually moves southbound and then has activity around the area associated with the Williams condo there. First activity is at 7:37, and then remaining in that area until this slide, the last activity on this slide at 8:11. Again, using towers and sectors in this general area here.
And Agent Bernie, does the phone number associated with Dora Greer ending in 9596 have any communication with the device associated with Kevin Treadwell?
It does.
When can you show for the jury where and when those communications are?
Yeah, so that device, the Treadwell device ending in 2643, are these calls right here, again, at approximately, or at 7:35 and 53 seconds, and then 7:36 in 2 seconds, and then 7:38. So 3 activities.
Agent Bernie, publishing slide 36, were you ever requested to analyze the phone records for the device associated with Dolly Greer ending in 1990?
I was.
And what was the time frame for that request?
Again, looking at 6:44 to 8:27.
Publishing slide 37. Agent Bernie, when is the first call?
I think they're doing it on purpose. I think they're trying to. This dude, we never hear from the white guy. It's always Miss Love or Miss Hilton. You feel me? They doing this on purpose. They trying to avoid us, but this is critical, y'all. It seemed like they talking in circles. I swear to God, it seemed like 7:30, 7:23, 7:54. But what they doing is they tying up all these people to these cell phones for these digital footprint, and basically just trying to prove, I guess, that everybody at the same hour or the same time was in the same vicinity or talking on the phones at the same time is what's cooking up. Do me a favor and double tap the screen.
Call on this slide.
So the first call on this slide is at 6:30 right here. Is an incoming call. You can see the towers and sectors there.
And can you describe the general movement of the device associated with Dolly Greer between 6:44 p.m. and 7:04 p.m.?
Yep. So at 6:30 and 6:40.
And just so y'all know, Dolly, that's the sister. Don't forget, Woody would be the one who said that. See, Woody is a liar. But Woody said it himself. He mixed the truth, a little bit of truth, with a lot of lies. So he did say at one point that he was at the house right after the what you call it. But Woody also said to us, y'all, that he was at his girl house. So these cell towers is they trying to really get us, you know what I'm saying, to look the other way or get confused, but they cooking up basically with cell towers. They ain't got no proof besides what we seen. That's why it took so long to get to him. They got the detective and they tried to throw us with, you know what I'm saying, the witnesses that didn't recall anything, knowing they got cell towers, hard evidence, allegedly. But let's go.
40. We can see the towers and sectors that are used here, 6:43, and then it uses this tower and sector over here, 6:44 to 7 o'clock, and then we see that device use various towers and sectors as it moves northbound. Eventually, the last call on here is 7:04, using this tower and sector.
And in this time frame, is there any communication between the device associated with Dolly Greer and the device associated with Dora Greer, ending in 9596?
There is.
Is there any communication with the device associated with defendant Williams, ending in 3904?
There is.
Agent Bernie, publishing slide 38. Where does the device associated with Dolly Greer, can you describe for the jury the movement of that device?
Yeah, so the first activity on that device is at 7:08. Again, we see the tower in sector here, and then that device moves northbound, appears to be, along the 85 corridor there, eventually arriving in the area around the Williams condo at approximately 7:11.
Agent Bernie, publishing slide 39. Now, in addition to specific time ranges for individual phone numbers, were you ever asked to analyze activity around specific locations?
I was.
And were you ever asked to analyze the phone activity near 330 McDaniel Street Southwest?
I was.
And what was the time frame you analyzed that?
Yeah, so you can see that here, 6:56 p.m. to 7:28 p.m. on the 10th.
And Agent Bernie, do you see the 7:28 p.m. call from the device associated with Kenneth Copeland?
I do.
I'm going to publish slide 12. Excuse me, slide 11. Is that call the same, or is this the call at 7:28 in relation to the Green Store?
It is. It's this one right here that we discussed previously, the 7:28. Again, you can see the tower and sector here.
And is that the same call?
It is. It's the exact same call.
And the activity before this, where is the device associated with Kenneth Copeland at 7:24?
Yep. So again, here's that crime scene. We're looking south of that along 85. You have the associated address, Copeland's girlfriend here. The device at 7:24 and 7:25 again puts that device in this general area here, somewhere around the vicinity of that the other additional residence.
The 178 Maury Avenue?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So the device associated with Mr. Copeland, is it further or closer from the 178 Maury Avenue address or 330 McDaniel Street at that 7:24 p.m. call?
Yeah, it's significantly closer to the 178 Maury Avenue. Again, the device is going to be in this general area.
Going back to slide 40. And Agent Bernie, is the device on the left ending in 8008, is that the device associated with Mr. Bradford?
It is.
And are these calls depicted on this slide ones we discussed previously in relation to the device associated with Mr. Bradford?
It is.
And when is the last call that the device associated with Mr. Bradford can be plotted that is near the vicinity of the crime scene?
Again, you see that one here. That's 7:19, an incoming text message.
Publishing slide 41, Agent Bernie, were you also asked to analyze phone activity near the McDonald's at 150 Cleveland Avenue?
I was.
And what was the time frame you were requested to analyze phones in relation to that address?
Yeah, you can see that listed here, 7:35 to 8:48 p.m. on the 10th.
So, Agent Bernie, on slide 42, can you walk the jury through what this slide shows?
Yeah, so again, I was asked to take a look at phones near the McDonald's. The McDonald's location is shown here. I looked at any activity with towers and sectors that were in close proximity around that time period. And we see several devices that has that. So we kind of go through those. The first device is this red device, 6080. That's the device associated to Mr. McMullen. We have this silver device here, ending in 8008. That's the device associated with Mr. Bradford at the top there. This tower and sector here is Sprint Towers. Again, provide coverage in this general area here. And we have the 5626 device associated with Mr. Zachary, and the 2643 device associated with Mr. Treadwell using this tower and sector here. Then the closest tower and sector to the McDonald's obviously is this one here. We have that 2643 again associated with Mr. Treadwell. That's kind of this purple device having those activities. Kind of cut off down here is the 5991 device associated with Mr. Copeland, again using this tower and sector here.
And Agent Bernie, roughly in the time span of using the time span of 7:45 to 8 o'clock, are the devices associated with Kevin Treadwell, Mr. Copeland, Demise McMullen, where are they in relation to the McDonald's?
Yeah, the McMullen device, that red device here, is using this tower. Again, there's a Verizon tower there, a Verizon tower, and a Verizon tower. Those are the three closest. So we can see, again, that device is going to be somewhere in this general area. That's at 739 and 753. What was the other devices?
Treadwell, Copeland, and
Man, this is sick, man. They running game on us, man. It's no way. Like, they about to run a whole marathon on us, man. 5 hours straight. I know it ain't been 5 hours yet, but before we know it, it will be. Agent Bernie has all this data that he about to just dump on us at one time. They know they wrong for that.
McMullen.
Okay. The Copeland device, we just have one activity during this time period. You can see the tower and sector it uses here. That's at 7:51 p.m. And then the Treadwell device, it uses this tower here and these two sectors here at 7:35.
So Woody was smart, y'all. They only got one around that time. So Woody knew he did that.
7:45, and then it also uses this tower out here at 8:32 p.m.
And Agent Bernie, were you ever asked to plot phone activity near Defendant Williams' condo?
I was.
What was the time frame that you plotted phones in relation to that address?
So I looked at devices between 7:31 and 11:22 p.m. On the.
Now, Agent Bernie, can you help unpack this rather busy slide for the jury?
Yeah, so this obviously has a lot of information on here. The the biggest thing is just seeing which phones have activity all around the general area of the William condo, and that is a significant number of these phones.
And Agent Bernie, is in this time frame from 7:30 to 11:22, is there any devices that are at that location, both close to 7:31 and also close to 11:22 in general?
Yeah, I mean, we see this, the red device associated with McMullen has 7:31 and 11:22. There's 6 activities that use this tower and specifically this sector during that time period. It also uses this tower and sector once. There's another one down here that has 2 outgoing and 1 incoming call using this tower and sector there. Let me just quick look at some other ones. You have the 3904 number associated with Mr. Williams. It uses this tower and sector up here at 822 through 1057 for 5 different activities. It also uses this tower and sector here at 908 to 1042 for 2 activities. I believe that's it.
And Agent Bernie, were you ever asked to analyze any out-of-state movement in relation to this case?
I was.
I'm publishing slide 45. What did you analyze in relation to that?
I was just asked to take a look at, did any of these devices leave the Atlanta, Georgia area and travel to Miami on the next day, which was January 11th, 2020.
Publishing slide 46. Can you describe for the jury what this slide shows in relation to the device associated with Mr. McMullen?
Yeah, so again, you'll see the devices associated with in the top left-hand corner. This one's the 68 associated to Mr. McMullen. And then I looked at, hey, when did the device approximately leave the Atlanta area, and did it travel southbound? So this device, has activity in the Atlanta area on the 10th at approximately 11 p.m. And then I looked at, hey, when did it arrive approximately in the Miami area? So I reviewed activity until 2 p.m. the next day on the 11th. And what you see here is these dots are different towers used by the device as it as it made its trip from Atlanta to Miami. So the dots in this case are phone activities, either calls or text messages. This is a Verizon device, so these are just calls. And then
what I'm gathering is how they coming up with this. It's just like he said, either calls or text is how they using it. So it's not literally like naturally tracking you, but if you're using the device, is what I'm getting, then this is literally how they're tracking you right now. And now I'm starting to get it because they're trying to probably get him in and out within this day. And he's kind of telling the whole story, what we already heard, but from cell tower point of view. If you didn't already, double tap the screen. That's how you put me in the algorithm. So I appreciate it if you made it this far into the live. That's go ahead and double tap. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe.
I just put in some of the times of those to kind of get us a gauge at approximately how fast was the device moving and approximately when did it arrive, over into the Florida area. So this device, again, activity 11 p.m. up in Atlanta. At 4 a.m., we see it's near Macon, Georgia. 7 a.m. on the 11th, it's getting near the Florida-Georgia line. And then eventually it has some activity down in Miami at 1:25 p.m. And one thing you can't see on that slide is cut off on the bottom is, you know, obviously I compared all the devices and their activity to see if did some travel separately on different days or times, which one had similar travel patterns. And so the devices of McMullen, associated with McMullen, Williams, Dolly Greer, and Dora Greer, all have very close activity along the same time periods in the areas I looked at, which are like Macon, Georgia, Florida, Georgia line, and then arriving in Miami.
Agent Bernie, publishing slide 47. What does this slide show in regards to movement of the device associated with defendant Williams?
Yeah, so again, had some activity at 1:28 a.m. in Atlanta, some activity just north of Macon at 4:38, and then activity in Miami at 1:43. So this device obviously didn't have as many calls or text messages as the other ones. Again, that's the only time we can see towers and sectors, is when there's phone activity.
Publishing slide 48. Can you describe for the jury the movement depicted, if any, on this slide from the phone associated with Dora Greer?
Yeah, so again, really only two activities during this time period. We have an 11:41 activity up in Atlanta, and then down here at 9:21 near Orlando.
Agent Bernie, publishing slide 49. Can you describe for the jury the movement depicted, if any, on this slide from the phone associated with Dolly Greer?
And so again, we see that phone number listed there. Had some activity at 3:28 a.m. A little bit further down is the next one at 6:04 a.m. And then eventually some activity in and around the Miami area at 1:43 p.m. on the 11th.
Publishing slide 50. Can you describe for the jury what movement, if any, you see for the device associated with Mr. Copeland?
Yeah, so again, here we have the Copeland device, the 5991. We see on the 11th, the first activity is at 7:56 p.m. This device and the next device associated with Mr. Zachary have very similar travel patterns, but these travel patterns are different than the slides we just previously looked at. By 7:56 p.m. on the 11th, the other devices were already in Miami. So this one departs Atlanta approximately 7:56 or so, has some activity there. Around 10 o'clock, it's just, there's Macon, has some activity south of Macon. And then the next activity we have is at 6:58 a.m. on the 12th, and that's down in Miami.
And in general, does the device associated with Mr. Copeland travel closely with any other devices you requested to analyze?
Yeah, you can see on the bottom of the slide here, you know, those two, the Copeland and Zachary device, have more similar travel patterns than the others. So again, 7:56 p.m. on the 11th, device is still in Atlanta. Now we have 10 o'clock p.m. on the 11th, south of Macon along that, and then some activity, the first activity.
Oh man, he in trouble. He said he ain't go to Miami, y'all. The cell tower said he just ain't leave with everybody else. That's crazy, man.
Why didn't you call the police?
YSL Lil Woody.
I got a very difficult time telling the truth to investigators if I feel they are after me.
Did you ever tell Investigator Gaither and Investigator Dennis about the beef between you and Kel?
Probably so.
What do you recall telling her about the beef between you and Kel?
Probably whatever I could to convince them to make them believe.
Make them believe what?
Me.
And so were you telling them the truth?
Depending on who listening.
It was Gaither and Dennis.
I got a very difficult time telling the truth to investigators if I feel they are after me.
You tell them the truth about the beef that was happening between you and Cal?
I don't know what I don't told them. That's why I'm trying to be careful what I say right now.
Y'all remember that? Y'all remember he was trying to be careful what he was saying right now? I wish I had the. I didn't know the who. I don't think nobody knew, y'all, that the chart was gonna drop today, and the chart is making it hit different. Let's be honest. I got the poll going in the chart. Is this helping, or this really ain't doing nothing? Woody said he never went. Woody said why would he leave? He said he had to stay in Atlanta because they were shooting up all his spots. Remember? But then they said shit around 7 something, Woody is in Atlanta. But by 10 something, he heading down somewhere going south because they got him in Macon. And then the defense do ask him, okay, well, let me ask it again just to make sure you saying it correct because they already knowing they got Woody on the stand. How many people in the chat or that's listening to me right now feel like the witnesses did not know they was coming like this? Because they should have played it different with the, I don't recall if they knew these folk could possibly have cell tower information, and he just said the man worked. He probably been doing that. I ain't hear him say how many years. He said the way it works with cell towers, if you make a phone call, if you send out a message, make a phone call and send out a message, it's gonna ping. Let's go. It hit different when they got down. You can't recall, but they got you like this.
We see in Miami is at 6:58 a.m.
Let's be clear.
And Agent Bernie, is this, can you describe for the jury, is this what you were just discussing with the phone associated with Mr. Zachary?
It is. So again, activity at 7:37 a.m. And then we see it reaches the Florida-Georgia line around 11:45 p.m. Has several other activities.
Man. So you telling me he lied too? I thought Zachary said he had to stay in town because and shot up. Somebody hijacked their phones, y'all. There ain't no way. If they was spinning in Atlanta all the time, who hijacked their phones and slid to Florida, man? Or these cell towers lying?
Near Orlando, 2:30 a.m. and then into the first activity in Miami is at 7:19 a.m.
And Agent Bernie, in relation to the report you generated for the January 10th, 2015 murder of Donovan Thomas, is that in your generated report?
It does.
Now, Agent Bernie, were you asked in relation to this case to analyze multiple incidents in regards to cell phone historical cell site data other than the January 10, 2015 murder of Donovan Thomas?
I was.
I'm going to approach you with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 180 Echo. And Agent Bernie, let me know if you recognize State's Exhibit 180 Echo.
I do.
What is 180 Echo?
He had to take a swig, hit the water. What the heck is going on, y'all? This whole 2 to 3 hours been around one day. I don't think we can take another day of cell tower charts and maps and scales and all that, y'all. Let's see what he got to say.
It is my report as it associated to an incident that occurred on April 26th of 2015.
They done got him in another. Lord, how thick through the papers look, y'all? April.
And is that in relation to the April 26, 2015 shooting of Mr. Dwayne Carter's tour bus?
It is.
Your Honor, and is that a fair and accurate depiction of the report you created in relation to that shooting?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to tender into evidence State's Exhibit 180 Echo.
Admitted.
Your Honor, same objection. And Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish, or you can reference in physical copy, slide 7 from that report.
Slide 7. Man, they done came with him. I hope he ain't got another chart to go
Now,
with.
Agent Bernie, what were the phone numbers you analyzed, or I'll start this way. Are any of the phone numbers and associated parties the same from the January 10th, 2015 that we just walked through with the jury?
Oh, wow. So he cooking up. Y'all got the poll going in the chat. How many people say is Agent Bernie's cell tower chart helping the state's case, man? Right now it's saying we got 69% saying no, and 31% of the people is saying yes. Interesting. The poll is up. Y'all hop in the poll real quick. They just came up with another date, another case that Agent Bernie was working on, and it has to do with the day that Lil Wayne tour bus got hit up. So now we at the point of the video. They're trying to say, is any of the people who was in the January 10th through January 11th cell tower chart that we were just looking at in 2015, are any of those people in this cell tower chart investigation? Let's see what he got to say.
Yes, several are the same.
Several are the same.
And I wanted to ask you about if there's any either new phones, or I'll do it this way. Is the top row, does that appear or not appear to be the same last 4 digits and associated names with that device from both the January 10th and the April 26th records you analyzed?
Yeah, the devices associated with Sledge, Valley Greer, and Mr. Zachary are the same numbers and devices.
And for that middle row, the device associated with McMullen and the T-Mobile device associated with Dora Greer, do those appear or not appear to be the same associated name and number?
Yeah, those are the same devices, names and numbers.
Now, can you describe for the jury the remaining numbers and names we have not discussed that are either new or different than what we just went through?
Yeah, we have a device associated to Mr. Winfrey ending in 3383, T-Mobile device. We have a new Sprint device associated with Mr. Williams ending in 2920. And then we have an AT&T device ending in 8553 associated to YSL Enterprises. And then the last addition is a T-Mobile device associated with Mr. Garlington ending in 9229.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm publishing slide 8, and I wanted to ask you, what is the yellow icon that is marked with a V that's depicted on this slide?
Yeah, the V is associated with the Vault Studios. You can see it in the top right corner. I was given that address is 675 Metropolitan Parkway.
And what is the time frame for when you analyze phone activity in the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
Yeah, between 11:27 p.m. on April 25th to 6 a.m. the following morning on April 26th.
And Agent Bernie, with this slide, is there multiple cell phone providers, cell towers depicted?
There are. So you have all four of the main providers that were in existence in 2015. That's Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon.
And Agent Bernie, with the device associated with Mr. Winfrey ending in 3383, when is the first call that's in the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
Yeah, we see that first call is at 11:27 p.m. on the 25th there. And we can see the tower and sector that it's used right there.
And in relation to that tower and sector, is there any number that primarily seems to be interacting with the device associated with Winfrey in that time frame for that tower?
There's a lot of interaction between that device and the device ending in 1990.
And who's associated with the device ending in 1990?
Yeah, we see that there as Miss Gallagher.
Now, is there a gap in time, or let me ask you this, Agent Bernie. Do you see the call at 1:15 a.m. for the phone associated with Winfrey?
I do.
Can you show the jury where that call is?
Yeah, it's listed right there, 1:15 a.m.
And is that call, what device is that call between other than Mr. Winfrey?
Yeah, it's an incoming call to Mr. Winfrey's device from that 1990 device associated with Ms. Gallagher.
And do you see a call that's depicted on the right at 1:19:38?
I do.
Is that also a call associated with defendant Winfrey?
It is.
After that 1:19 a.m. call, when is the next time that the device associated with Winfrey appears in the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
3:38 a.m.
So is it roughly or almost exactly a 2-hour gap between those calls?
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour and 20-minute gap.
Now, Agent Bernie, when is the first call from the device ending in 1990 associated with Dolly Greer in the vicinity of the vault?
We have this one down here at 1:14 using this tower here.
And do you see the call at 1:39 a.m. by the device associated with Dolly Greer?
I do.
When is the next call that device has in the vicinity of the vault?
The next call after that 1:39 call is this call. It's hard to see it. It's on this one here. At 3:53 a.m. again using this tower right here.
And is that roughly the same or a little over a 2-hour gap between those calls when that device is in the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
Again, that's a little bit over 2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes or 15 minutes approximately.
Do you see the device associated with McMullen have any activity? Can you show the jury or tell the jury when the first time that phone associated with Mr. McMullen is in the vicinity of the vault?
Yeah, we see that is right here at 11:49 p.m. on the 25th, again using this tower in here.
And when is the last communication, if any, other than that call between the device associated with McMullen and in the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
Yeah, the next activity in the vicinity of the Vault Studios is this one here at 2:38 a.m. Again, still using this tower.
Do you see the phone number associated with Sledge?
I do.
And when, if any, is there any activity from the device associated with Mr. Sledge near the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
We have this tower down here with the call-out box kind of cut off there, but you can see it. It's at 1201 and 1234 uses this tower in sector. Again, that's the number ending in 8935.
Do you see any activity from the phone associated with Mr. Zachary near the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
I do.
When is the first time that phone, that device associated with Mr. Zachary has any activity in that location?
We have this 4:13 a.m. outgoing call, again using this tower.
And do you see any phone activity from the phone number ending in 9596 associated with Dora Greer near the vicinity of the Vault Studios?
We do see that 9596 at a couple seconds after midnight on the 26th, again using that same tower.
And when does that activity stop from that device?
You know, from the 9596, you have midnight, you have 1:16 a.m., 1:39 a.m., 1:40 a.m. And then that's the last time that device is seen during this review period.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 9. What is depicted on slide 9?
So slide 9, what we have now is all of the devices in the vicinity of the compound nightclub. So the compound nightclub is going to be this blue box with the number 1 in it. We put it right there. So then again, any and all devices that I was asked to review that had activity in close proximity to that compound during this time period of 1:42 a.m. to 3:04 a.m. on the 26th.
Agent Bernie, with the device associated with Mr. Winfrey, does it have any activity near the compound?
It does.
When is the first time that device associated with Mr. Winfrey has contact, or not contact, but is in the vicinity of the compound nightclub?
Yeah, so we see it here at 2:01. Again, that device ending in 3383. It's using this tower, specifically this side.
And Agent Bernie, between that call at 2:01 a.m., when is the last call and tower that the device associated with Winfrey is in the vicinity of the compound nightclub?
So we have the last one is this one here at 3:03 a.m. And you can see the tower that it's using right there, specifically this side.
And Agent Bernie, do you see a call at 3:04 p.m. or a.m. from the device associated with Winfrey?
Right here.
Does that appear to be traveling in a different direction?
Yeah, so we have, so if we're looking specifically at the 3383 device, again, it had tower and sector I'm using over here. But then we can see it's using this tower, 2 different sides. The first is the 150 side, which is going to be this side. The second is going to be the 270 side, which is this side. So we can see that device consistently uses the 150 side until about 257, and then it uses the 270 side at 3:03 several times, and then eventually using a completely different tower at 3:04. So again, I would say that device is now traveling westbound.
Now, Agent Bernie, with the phone associated with Dolly Greer, does it have any activity around the vicinity of the compound nightclub?
It does.
What is the first time it has any activity near there?
It is at 2:01 a.m. and we see that tower right there.
When is the last activity that the phone associated with Dolly Greer has near the compound nightclub?
It's at 3:03.
How does that first call and last call compare with the calls we just discussed related to the device associated with Mr. Winfrey?
Yeah, so we have these over here at 2, and then 2:35 and 2:38, and then we have the towers used on this device down here, 2:32 to 3:02, And then we have this device here, or a tower at 303 using the north side over here. So again, at 201 to 303, using these three different towers. This last tower, it's hard to really see. 303, it's using the 248 side, so this side down.
And Agent Bernie, is there any activity from the phone associated with Mr. Zachary in the vicinity of the Compound nightclub?
There is.
When is the first activity near the compound from that device?
So the first activity with the 5726 is at 2:50 a.m. Again, using this tower.
And when is the last activity from the device associated with Mr. Zachary in relation to the Compound nightclub?
Is at 301, using the same tower and sector.
Is that 301 last activity from Mr. Zachary? How does that compare when the devices associated with Mr. Winfrey and Miss Greer stopped having activity near the compound?
Yeah, again, it's around the same time period. You know, that we had 301 for the 5726 device associated with Zachary. I think the Greer device was at 303 for the last activity, and then the black phone associated with 3383, Mr. Winfrey, was also at 303 and 304.
Was there any activity from the device associated with Demise McMullen near the Compound nightclub?
There was.
When was the first time that phone was near the nightclub?
First time is at 2:31 a.m. and you can see it used this tower.
And when is the last time that device had any activity near the compound?
Again, it's hard to see. It cuts it off down here, but the last time is at 2:33 a.m.
And Agent Bernie, is there any activity from the device associated with Dora Greer near the compound in the time frame that you analyzed?
There is.
When is the first time it appears near the compound?
The first being this 1:42 a.m. Again, you can see the tower that's used here, same as the one here.
And when is the last time that device associated with Dora Greer has activity near the compound?
2:21 right here. You can see that tower in the sector that's used.
Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 10. Now, were you ever asked or did you ever analyze any phone or historical tower analysis between the devices associated with Mr. Winfrey and the device associated with Miss Dolly Greer?
I was.
Can you describe for the jury between this window of time of 7:14 a.m. to 1:39 a.m. what this shows?
Yeah, so what we have here is, again, activity of the orange phone of 1990 and also the black phone of 3383. And we have, you know, a very similar kind of phones in the vicinity down here. We look at the orange phone, we have 114 and 115, you know, again, using these towers and sectors here. And then 139 for the orange phone, the device has moved up this direction. If we look at the black phone, what we have is we have activity at 115 in this general area, then 119 and 138 using these towers and sectors. So again, we see a similar pattern of movement between these two devices. Again, 114 starting in this sector, moving to this sector, and then here, and then the black device, again, using this sector to that sector. One thing to note is that these two devices are different providers. And so they don't use the same antennas and maybe not even the same towers. So you could have a device be in, two devices be in the exact same location, but because one's T-Mobile, or one's Sprint and one's AT&T, they could be using different towers to provide coverage in that area.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 11. What is the time frame depicted on this slide between the devices of Mr. Winfrey and the device associated with Miss Dolly Greer?
Yeah, so again, we continue to look at these two devices. This is from 2:01 to 3:03 a.m. And now we're looking at the devices moved into the general vicinity of the compound.
And Agent Bernie, for those, that tower that is 3090 and 2090 in the top right, do you see that?
I do.
Who is the device associated with Mr. Winfrey speaking with between that 2:45 a.m. call and the 3:03 a.m. call?
Yeah.
I object. Oh, I apologize. Your Honor, I object to speaking. I understand you can say this, the associate handset.
Sustained. Rephrase, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Agent Bernie, the phone or the device associated with Dolly Greer ended in 1990, and the phone associated with Mr. Winfrey ending in 3383. What is the communication between those devices between 2:45 a.m. and 3:03 a.m.?
Yeah, there's several calls between those two devices. 245, you can see them, 245, 248, 249, 257, 303, several calls. So you can see those all listed.
And Agent Bernie, do you see any calls in this time frame from the 6080 number associated with Demise McMullen?
I do.
When are those, or where are those?
Yeah, so you got one up here at 2:35, an incoming call to the 1990 device from the 6080, the Demise McMullen device. There's also down here another call at 2:33, an outgoing call from 1990 device to the 6080 device right here. And that's the last one.
And Agent Bernie, without stating the tower or sector, do you see any communication between either Mr. Winfrey, the device associated with Mr. Winfrey's phone, or the device associated with Miss Dolly Greer's phone between Mr. Zachary?
Can you say that question again?
Yes. Do you see the phone number ending in 5726 associated with Quindarius Zachary in communication with either phones plotted on this slide?
I do.
And do you see any communication with the phone number ending in 9229 associated with Demekion Garlington between either Mr. Winfrey or Ms. Greer's phone during this time frame?
I do.
Publishing slide 12. Now, is this a slide depicting between 3:07 a.m. and 3:08 a.m.?
It is.
Can you describe for the jury this slide in relation to the phone associated with Mr. Winfrey and the phone associated with Ms. Greer and one another?
I can, yeah. So again, these are the two devices, 3383 and 1990, between 3:07 and 3:08 a.m. on the 26th. And so if we kind of break it down, we see the first device, the black device, 3:07, it uses this side of the tower here. And then at 3:08, it uses this side of the tower here. So that device moved from this sector to this sector. Now, if we look at the same time period for the orange device, we see 3:07, it used this tower and sector here. Then it jumps to this tower, 3:07 using this side, and then 3:08 using this side right here. So again, these two devices, very similar travel pattern during these kind of 2 minutes to show, hey, the device was in this side and kind of moved up to this side during that 3:07 to 3:08, and both of those devices during that time.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm publishing slide or page 13. between 3:14 a.m. and 3:17 a.m., can you describe for the jury the movement of these devices?
Yep. So at this point, at the earlier slide, it looked like the devices were in close proximity or had very similar travel patterns. Now we see the devices have actually looked like they've separated. If we break down the devices, we go to the black device first. We see the first activity at 3:14, again, using the side of 3:30, which is this north side, then goes to 2:10, then it goes to this tower here and this tower here. So starting at 3:14 in this general area and 3:17 down in this general area. Now for the orange device, we have our first activity at 3:14 here, 3:15 now using this tower, and 3:16 now using this tower. So again, in summary, the black device somewhere here heading south and east, and the orange device first activity here and heading north and east.
And Agent Bernie, for the calls from the device associated with Mr. Winfrey from 3:14 to 3:17, where are they in relation to I-75?
Yeah, these towers are obviously right along this I-75 interstate. So.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide in page 14 of your report. From 3:28 a.m. to 5:21 a.m., can you describe for the jury where the devices associated with both Mr. Winfrey and Ms. Greer travel and end up?
Yep. So again, this is same date. Now we're looking at 3:28, 5:21. We put area of interest of the vault back on here. We can see that location down here. So if we kind of step through each of the locations, what we have here is at 3:38, we have the black phone in this general area here, and then it moves to this tower here. It's hard to see, it's right underneath the vault, but in the general vicinity of the vault, getting there approximately 3:38 and having activity from 3:38 to 4:27. Now with the orange phone, the first activity we have on the orange phone is 3:28. The device is, obviously up in this general area. It then moves southbound 3:36, having activity in this area, and then 3:37 in this area. 3:38, it uses a tower and sector down here, and then the device moves back to a tower located close to the vault here that has activity at 3:53 and at 5:21. So in summary, what we have again is the black phone's first activity was here. Then it went over to use a tower in close proximity to the vault. And for the orange phone, we had activity up here. It traveled south along here and then eventually made its way back to the area around the vault, having activity around the vault around 3:53.
Now, Agent Bernie, I'm going to publish slide 15 for the device ending in 8553 associated with YSL Enterprises. Where was that phone during this time frame?
Yep. So again, this is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You can see kind of Baton Rouge downtown area here. Again, this is the device ending in 8553 associated with YSL Enterprises. And we can see all of the phone's activities in and around the Baton Rouge area. And again, it looks like the first device or first activity of that device heading away from the Baton Rouge area is at 9:03 p.m. on the 20th.
Agent Bernie, I'm publishing slide 16. Were you able, or where was the phone associated with, or the phone number ending in 2920 located during this time?
Yeah, so that device had all of its activity in the Miami, Florida area during this time.
And is that a device that when you analyzed it, you had listed as a who was associated with that device on the phones you analyzed?
Now let me go back to that page. 2920 was a device associated with Mr. Williams.
And for the 9229 number associated with Demekion Garlington, were you able to plot any location information for that device?
No, the records that were returned for that device from the phone company did not provide cell site information.
Just asking the inquiry.
Yeah, do you need to approach or?
I just wanted to, if it's okay, the 9229 number. Mr. Atkins, you just say that's associated with Mr. Garlington? That is what the report that Agent Bernie has. Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
You're welcome, Mr. Steele. Court's indulgence, Your Honor. Names are associated with these devices that appear in the vicinity of Defendant Williams' condo between 7:31 p.m. and 11:22 p.m.
Okay. So you have the device ending in 9596 associated with Dora Greer. You have the 3904 associated to Mr. Williams. The 5726 associated to Mr. Zachary. The 3145 associated to Mr. Cobb. The 5991 associated with Mr. Copeland. The 1990 associated with Dolly Greer. The 8935 associated to Mr. Sledge. The 6080 associated to Mr. McMullen. And I think that covered all of them. Yes.
And Agent Bernie, I am going to draw your attention to 180 echo pertaining to the April 26, 2018. And I'm going to draw your attention to slide 12. And I'm going to publish that slide in 180 echo, slide 12 for the jury. Now, 180 echo. Now, Agent Bernie, do you see Highway 285?
I do.
And do you see any area depicted as Atlanta Road?
Atlanta Road? I do.
Can you describe for the jury, using those as reference points, where these devices are in relation to those?
Yep. So again, 285 we see is right here, runs north and south right there. And then that Atlanta Road is right here. It goes across this way.
Thank you, Agent Bernie. One brief moment, Your Honor. So Agent Bernie, in relation to this, is that tower 2051 TAC 2 and 2051 TAC 3? Do you see that? 307, 308 AM?
I do.
Is that tower, if that device associated with Mr. Winfrey was traveling on Atlanta Road, is that consistent or inconsistent with that tower?
That would be consistent. Obviously, again, Atlanta Road runs like this. And at 307, 17 seconds, it's using this side. And at 308, 46, it's now using this side. So that would be consistent with the device traveling along Atlanta Road north and west.
And with the phone associated with 1990 Dolly Greer, does it have any activity around Atlanta Road on this slide?
It does. So again, we have the first one at 307. Atlanta Road, again, is this road that travels right there. So the first tower would be this one at 307 here, and then again at 307 and 308. So again, that would be consistent with a device traveling north and westbound on Atlanta.
Thank you, Agent Bernie. One brief moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, no further questions for Agent Bernie at this time.
Okay,
Thank God. Yeah, I thought it would. Okay, I think she's about to say let's go to the break. So let me see what she said.
let's break for lunch and
Yep.
then we'll do any cross of this witness. So let's take an hour. So we'll see you back at 1:35.
Bet. That was a long ride. Appreciate everybody that made it through it, man. Like, wow, 3.5 hours, 2 charts, 2 cell tower charts. Let's be specific. 2 cell tower charts. Agent Bernie, man, broke it all the way down. Let me see what the poll looking like. I'm in the poll. The poll ends at. Go ahead in the poll. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give it the poll 2 more minutes. Right now, we looking. The poll says, "Is Agent Bernie's cell tower chart helping the state case?" 79% of the people said no, and 21% said yes. What he did was basically put. I wish I would have had pictures for y'all so you can actually see who they was talking about, because I'm one of them learners. I gotta see and hear. You know, I can't just. The faces would have been good to hear what we was talking about instead of a bunch of numbers references. But I'm interested in hearing what the cross gonna look like. Is it gonna be another additional? Is it gonna take us all the way into the next day, or is it gonna be all done? Are they gonna be done with Agent Bernie today? It's look like they're gonna be done with him. If you didn't already, double tap the screen. Shout out to live. 2 things that we can take away from this live stream. Woody is a liar, but we already knew that. They acted like they didn't know that Woody lied about that when he was on the stand. But now it's starting to make sense why they repeatedly kept asking some of the same questions, y'all. Different ways, but they kept repeatedly asking the same questions. Did you go to Miami? I got a clip like that. Go to my shorts. I got to find that for when we come back. I'm going to have everything prepped up. But I'm going to take a break because this was definitely draining. I sat through the whole thing with y'all. Appreciate everybody that did come through. Subscribe to the channel and double tap the screen and hit that like button. But I'm going to go ahead and get me a break in, man. I'll definitely see y'all after this, what you said, 1:35, so about an hour. We're going to check back in with the rest of the spill. Until then, man, y'all stay safe out here. At the end of the day, the takeaway from this is cell towers are real. They do track you. If you use a text or a phone call, it pings off a cell tower. And I did like how Agent Bernie, I ain't gonna lie, I did like how he broke it down with the sprinklers, basically saying they like to overlap the cell towers so they can make sure their accuracy is correct. But I'm already been on about cell towers. How many people? Let me go ahead in the poll. Let me end this poll real quick. We're gonna end the poll. But yeah. So how many people don't even know about cell towers? It's 2024. You got to know about cell towers, man. Cell data and what we heard referred to as footprints, but also known to be digital footprints or digital fingerprints. So just because you're not seen on camera do not mean you're getting away with things in 2024 going into 25. But I hope everybody who listens to the sound of my voice has a blessed day. In the streets with it, man. TV, we will be back.
It's we. In the streets with it. In the streets. These YouTube streets. Let's build it. Content after content. We on the block. Lego. And as a daily reminder, hit that like and subscribe so you can get the vibes, you know it, and notified every time. Let ride. It's sweet. It's Sweet TV.
Real talk, what you gon' do when the pressure on? Fans listening, it's tap you dead wrong. Real no talk, nigga, getting money. Bitch, I'm plugged in, I get back in, you can't friend me. I've been hustling all night, yeah. Baby, I've been hustling all night, yeah. Baby, I've been hustling all night, yeah.
I've been grinding and hustling, trying to keep the money coming.
I'm real dope boy shit, I love that money motion. I'm outside early in the morning, ain't no birds chirping. Everything coming off the scale, you know that clock working. Nigga behave, was crazy, that shit monkey.
Got some haters in my circle, don't want to see me make it.
This shit get wicked in the city, but you living fast.
Yeah, I'm going up like stairs, framing in locked up chairs. They act like they was there.
You gotta read your P's and Q's or get left on the news. Gotta pay attention in the trenches. Gotta listen in the trenches. Gotta be aware of your surroundings when you're thugging in the trenches.
Streets I stay 10 toes. Big money, it never fold. Me with gang, you'll get down low. Street bay, pull up UFO. In the hop, I jump like a toad. Backwood, it green like mold. Eliante, dumb, they froze. Thank God for the life I chose. Got the heart of a lion. No, I ain't having no fear.